Yeah. Better days, I pray for better days. Working hard cause I want extra pay. Talk to them seeds, but you must demonstrate. Cause it's your ways that they gon' imitate. Non-violent. Sometimes I wish I would've went to college. Frown proudly. Cause where I'm from, they hate you when you smiling. Your faith should be your gun. You can't leave home without it. The children being grown, cause all the parents acting childish. You show them your reality, I bet they doubt it. You tell them all about your dreams, that's when they out it. Your own blood, ain't no family no more. They do you badly for show. You try to patch with your soul, Lord knows you on a mission to show him you so submissive. The prayer said in silence, you know the devil can hear him, pay attention. Know the war's within, how much time do you spend? Try to balance your zen, then again, losses is lessons. You tell me you trying to win, we know about saving money. You tell me you trying to spend that blood on it. Sweat, tears, you put that love on it. Your best years was just a dumb moment. You tired of going hungry, can't deal with fake making your life lonely. Your lack of faith that left your soul boning. But you gon' work and you gon' strive, do what it takes to survive. What is truth, what is a lie? You know that war's inside. Some get draped into the fake, they don't know what to decide. Wrong choice, meet your demise, keep that between you and I. You realize, some people you gon' let go, you visualize. The things you need to feed your soul is on the rise. They not gon' wanna let you go, but it's alright. It's cool to bury what's gon' grow. Went from wrong to the right and to the dark to the light. It was a hell of a fight. You give it all your might. Gotta hold on tight and you stay strong and precise. You fight the war that's inside, cause it might change your life. From wrong to the right and to the dark from the light. It was a hell of a fight. You give it all your might. You just hold on tight and you stay strong and precise. You fight the war that's inside, cause it might change your life. I ain't the person that I used to be. So what I do today ain't things that you used to see. Stay the same, no, things change usually. Some folk I may know might get reintroduced to me. Yeah, I ain't the person that I used to be. So what I do today ain't things that you used to see. Stay the same, no, things change usually. Some folk I may know might get reintroduced to me.
Yeah. Don't be stressing on the dumb shit, cause God is gonna make a way. Just keep going and keep your faith, so you can win this race. This race called life, yeah, yeah. This race called life. This race called life, yeah, yeah. Race called life. Yeah, 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 yeah. I'm grinding 'cause I know that I'm gon' get it. I just gotta have vision, keep faith and be humble. Have some patience with it. I've been A1 since day one, and always on my job. I never been a fake, never had to steal and rob. Cause I do good business, I'm too good with it. And even though I'm on this road, I'm still daddy to my children. You know I do good with them, and don't like being missing. But I hate when my bills are thicker and my pockets get thinner. But I can't stress up on the dumb shit, cause God is gonna make a way. I keep going and keep my faith in my pace, so I can win this race. Win this race called life. This race called life. I'm just trying to win this race called life. This race called life.
Yes, yes. We are in here. Peace to the chat. Peace to the family. Welcome back to another episode of Argument Alley, where comfort zones collapse and ideas get put under the spotlight. This isn't small talk. This isn't a safe space philosophy area. This is pressure. Here we run hot seat questioning, direct, strategic, no escape rounds designed to test what people really believe. Newcomers step into the alley and the panel steps up to challenge every claim. The floor will open, the mics will be live, and at the end, the audience gets their shot. Tonight, stepping into the fire is one that we all know, a legend, a myth, a scientist, a scholar, none other, the brother Minister Enqi. Everybody, let's give him a round of applause. You are muted over there. How you feeling today, brother?
I don't know yet. We'll see how it goes.
This is gonna be fun, man. I'm excited for this one. I've watched you for a while, but I've never gotten to ask you, the questions that I wanted to know. So we're gonna get into that tonight. We're gonna open the panel. The Titans are gonna come up and test you to see if you've got what it takes. Are you ready?
I have no idea.
No idea. Before we get into the questions, actually, let me go ahead and go to a word from our sponsors. The tournament that got this whole page started right here.
These are not just speakers. These are thinkers, forged in fire. Warriors of words stepping into destiny. Welcome to the Coliseum of Arguments, where logic clashes with conviction and ideas spill like blood in the sand. 16 titans, 16 minds, one path to immortality. They come seeking truth, they fight for redemption, they burn for revenge. Featuring the intellectual elite of the Titans Debate League. Every round a new war, every word a new weapon. Every Titan ready to fall or rise in glory. This is not debate, this is combat. Step into the Coliseum of Arguments. Only the brave speak here. Are you not entertained?
And let's get straight into
That's the debate tournament right there?
That is the debate tournament that we have going on right now. We're currently in round 2. Debaters get paid $50 for each round they win.
How is Anu doing? Anu Kakarat.
Anu Kakarat, he took a L round 1 against Pandemis, the African atheist. It was a close battle. I think Pan won by 1 point.
Nah, man, that was cheating somehow.
Hey, that was one of the fieriest debates too, man. Shout out Anu Kakarat, man. Definitely a legend. And Pan is undefeated in the tournament. I think he's only taken 1 L online currently in the few leagues that he's in. So yeah, shout out those two gentlemen. Definitely, yeah, that one was lit. That was lit. Let's get into these questions. Okay, where was I? Let me slow it down. Question number 1. Hold on. My apologies. Let me go to one more ad real quick while I grab the right questions.
Amazing news! At Titans Debate League is now looking for interns. We are expanding our team and seeking driven individuals who are ready to make an impact. We're on the hunt for talented people to join our marketing team, and charismatic new hosts, and creative minds who can produce amazing content. If you have a positive attitude and are used to winning, because that's what we do here, then we want to hear from you. Join us and contribute to a culture of excellence and success here at Titans Debate League. Email us today, titansdebateleague@gmail.com. Looking forward to hearing from you.
where infinity gauntlet is a mere toy compared to the intellectual prowess build and destroy the cipher. Intellectual sword to slice you, or whatever device you.
Okay, and we're back. Okay. Question number 1. Would you consider yourself an atheist, a spiritualist, or a nonconformist?
An atheist, definitely not an atheist.
Okay.
Do you mind defining spiritualist and nonconformist for me?
A spiritualist would be someone who believes that the body has a spirit and that our flesh, I guess our body is just the vehicle to house that spirit, but they don't subscribe to necessarily a religion. And a nonconformist is somebody who doesn't conform to any of those at all. Almost like an atheist, but almost like an atheist, a nonconformist.
Okay, but what about somebody who believes in God and religion and spirit?
Explain your worldview. Let's get into it.
No, I'm just saying, like, what would be that option?
I'm not one for labels, so I think some things just are, and we don't have to put them in a box or a category. People often try to group me in the atheist box. I don't necessarily like it because I don't feel like I fit there, but you know, people with a worldview, specifically people in the Abrahamic faiths, when I tell them that I don't believe in that, I just become an atheist.
Yeah, so I would say I'm a religionist.
Religionist. Wow.
Yeah.
Drop a bomb for that one. I've heard that one.
Yeah.
And nomenclature and controlling your own terms is important. Explain how you would define a religionist.
I would say, just in the context of, spiritualists being somebody who believes that the flesh is, I guess, a container of a spirit, but you're saying that they don't believe in a religion.
Mm-hmm.
I would say I do believe in spirit, maybe not necessarily in the sense that the flesh is a container of the spirit. I don't believe in that per se, but I definitely love religion. I have my own religion, but I love religion in general. I think religion is a beautiful thing. I think that people misunderstand theology and misunderstand that there are different perspectives of theology, and people think that theology is in opposition to science, and that science and theology can't necessarily occupy the same space. And so I disagree with a lot of those stances. So typically I usually have heated discussions with atheists, because the atheist usually tries to position himself as a person who is science driven, as opposed to somebody who is into religion who is not science driven. But I don't believe in the way, I don't believe that way. So we disagree at the nature or the template that argument would arise from. And so, that's why I'm saying I'm just trying to create some other space that would kind of encapsulate, me. Yeah, that would kind of encapsulate me a little bit closer than a spiritualist.
I like that. I'm all for the alternative theories and anything that goes against the mainstream. It's like the mainstream's forced on us so much. I can appreciate it all outside of that. So, next question, and these questions are all over the place, meant to keep you off guard. Is democracy actually working, or is it an illusion of choice?
Is democracy working? Absolutely. Is it an illusion of choice? No. I would say it is an illusion of choices, right? But I don't think it's an illusion of choice like how people would say, oh, you shouldn't vote because whoever's going to be the president's already going to be the, like, I don't believe in that. I just think that there's a lot of history that's missing. And if people better understood American history in the context of world history, um, it will probably make more sense. Like I just released a book called One God on Amazon, and we talk about some of those concepts actually. The reason why George Washington was the first president, the reason why there's like confusion between the popular vote and the electorate, because the popular vote is actually choosing the people who will choose the president. It's not necessarily for you to choose the president, it's for you to choose who chooses. So, but that's based on the fact that the masses are supposed to be, and for the most part they are relatively illiterate. So yeah. So yeah, I would definitely say that democracy is working because it's keeping the elite. So the purpose that the democracy was created for is doing a great job at that. Now, if people think that the democracy is to empower John Q. Public, and so if they're thinking that that's what democracy means, like, then obviously democracy is not working for them, or they would say democracy is broken. But I'm not under the illusion that democracy was designed to empower John Q. Public. I know that democracy was designed for the elite to stay elite and keep John Q. Public John Q. Public. So yeah, democracy is doing a hell of a job at keeping poor folks poor and dumb people dumb. Yeah.
Gotta drop a bomb on that one. I definitely agree with that one. Next question. Is race biological, social, or both?
Is race biological, social, or both? That's a hell of a question. I mean, I don't know. I guess in the truest sense, I would have to say neither. In the truest sense, I think I would have to say neither. But euphemistically, I would say both. Sure.
Oh, I'm muted. Expound on the neither.
Because biologically, I mean, we have differences. Our differences are tied to our environment and spirituality. Most people don't really understand spirituality, though. So that kind of limits understanding everything else. So we do have biological differences, and the biological lines that are usually drawn in terms of race are pigment, right? But when you add the full scale of humanity, those differences kind of slide on a gradient scale that's too small to make hard lines. And then obviously people socialize, but socializing grew out of the fact that you was around your family and your family was within a group of families, and that was where you was at. It's like I'm old enough. I'm not 50 yet, but I'm looking at 50. 50 is a few years away. And I remember a time before the internet, where just being from the Bronx. I'm from 158th Street in the Bronx, right? And so I remember that in New York alone, everybody in the 5 boroughs was different. You could look at somebody and tell what borough they was from based on how they dressed. You could see a Brooklyn person, Bronx, Harlem, Queens. Like, you could look at their outfit. You could see how they moved, their mannerisms. Even the slang was different borough to borough, right? And then you extrapolate that, and you could tell the difference between New York people and Jersey. The closest would be Brooklyn to Jersey, but you could easily tell the difference. And then you could tell the difference between New York and Jersey and Atlanta and Miami and LA and Philly and Detroit and Chicago and boom, 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 boom. And that's because people weren't really mixing, people weren't mixing like that. Now that you have the internet and social media, you see the concept of one world being, it's become a reality. And what's funny is that all throughout like the 80s and the 90s, that's when I was really reading a lot of material on the subject anyway. People were in fear of the concept of one world. One world was associated with the Illuminati. People would mistakenly put it on Masons and Masonry. I'm a Mason, but people would mistakenly put it on Masons and Masonry, but it was more of an Illuminati concept. And so people feared the one world concept. And what's crazy is that the internet has brought that into fruition. So if you listen to the music, you look at the clothes, you still have some difference. You still have some, accents and things like that, especially if you go different country to different country. But, they in the UK wearing, Sergio Tacchini suits and Nike boots, like claiming that they created that. You know what I'm saying? Like, so the internet has created the thing that we all feared would become a reality. And it wasn't packaged to us, as a nefarious Illuminati thing. In fact, the internet brought the world together in one space as a way to fight against the thing that was actually happening by us trying to fight against that thing that we wanted to stop from happening. So, yeah. So, it's as people socialize, it's just the nature of electricity and magnetism. That's how that goes. Electricity and magnetism. When you see social interactions, that's magnetism at play. In any circle, there's going to be an alpha, there's going to be a beta, just to keep it simple, you're going to have alpha and beta in any circle. But the thing is, that alpha in one circle will go to another circle and be a beta. That beta in one circle will go to another circle and be an alpha. This is what magnetism does. When a magnetic field is in the presence of another magnetic field, one of those magnetic fields usually swallows the other. And so the way you see that in human interactions is that you'll notice that one person usually speaks the loudest, has the most influence over the decision of what we're going to do, where we're going to go, what we're going to eat. And then you'll notice people in that circle start to adopting the way they talk, their mannerisms, so on and so forth. So if you can step outside of yourself, you'll be able to see if you're beta or alpha in your circle. But that's what magnetic fields do. Larger magnetic fields swallow the smaller ones. And the essence of humans is magnetism. So, you know.
Hey, we have Sadiq Ra to the panel, one of the Titans. Did you have a question?
Hey, peace, family. Peace, Dr. Enqi.
Please.
I was just taking it in, listening to the brother, and that's an interesting answers there, brother. I'm just listening right now. I'm pretty sure I'm having some questions or two.
Gotcha. Okay, I'm gonna go to the next one here. Get that situated. What does it mean to be a Freemason, practically, not symbolically?
What does it mean to be a Freemason?
I heard you say you were a Mason, correct?
Typically, I would say a Freemason or Mason. Because I said I'm a Mason. You asked me what it means to be Freemason.
Okay, my apologies. The
No. It's
one
good.
you identify with.
You good. But I would say a good father. I would say a good father, a solid friend, and a teacher.
Mm. And nobody could argue against any of those right there. Everybody should strive to be that. I like that answer.
Thanks.
Can you you know what? Let me get back over here. Is Masonry a religion, a fraternity, or something else?
Um, Definitely not a religion. Yeah, I mean, definitely a fraternity, but I would also
Thanks.
say something. I would definitely say something else as well. So I would say not a religion, definitely a fraternity, and also something else as well.
Okay, expound on to something else because I'm curious. I don't know anything about.
I would say it's a school for. I would say it's a school for. It's a school and a repository for ancient science.
Okay, I can go with that. Next question. Is Masonry compatible with all religions?
Compatible with all religions. I would say all major religions. Yeah.
Okay. Let me get back over here.
Yeah, it's a requirement that you believe in God, though.
Mm.
So
Thanks.
atheist is a minor religion. So I would say that it's not compatible with atheism as a religion, but for the most part, the major religions definitely.
We have a question from Nisha Shiraz. She asks, are the Masonic symbols spiritual truths or symbolic teaching tools?
Are the Masonic symbols spiritual truths? Well, I would definitely say that
Hold
a symbol is not a spiritual truth. Put that back up there for a second. Let me visualize it. Can you just visualize it before I go to sleep? Check the guns in the closet. But I would say definitely the symbols are designed to teach spiritual truths and
Thanks. Okay.
historical truths and scientific truths, and the symbols are designed kind of like how symbols are used in the metal nature. They have layers of meaning.
Facts.
Yeah, they have layers of meaning. So it's not just like spiritual, it's from the basic everyday things that you would need to know, and all the way into more complex ideas and spiritual ideas and concepts and all of that.
Sorry about that. My dogs are going off. I didn't want to unmute until they calmed down. Come on, Osiris, chill out. Okay. Are IQ tests culturally biased?
Hold on, my son is bugging. No, man, get out of here, bro. Are IQ tests culturally biased? Culturally and economically, there's definitely IQ tests are designed primarily to keep the invisible caste system going. So definitely, there's a lot of bias in IQ tests.
We have Jose Francis and Elron Thugger, Mr. Quantum Truth himself, to the panel. Questions, gentlemen? We'll start with you, Jose.
Yeah, Enqi, what's up?
What's going on, God?
Can I ask you a question? Have you taken any formal courses to learn to read Medu Necha? Are you a self-taught person as far as Medu Necha is concerned?
I'm not an expert at all. I mean, I've studied a bit here and there, but I don't call myself that.
Okay, I was just curious because you've had a lot of controversy in the past with Medu Necha and interpretations of Medu Necha with a lot of people
Of course.
who might respect your how should I say, your creativity when it comes to the language, but they disagree on a lot of the interpretations that you come up with and translations as far as Medu Necha. So how would you respond to the critics?
Well, here's the thing. I don't necessarily make translations, right? So the problem is that historically, and it actually is still now, we got to work on this as a group. But the term Kemetic scholar has been thrown around with no formal, there's no formal certification or stamp or group of people that says, okay, this guy is a Kemetic scholar. So what happened is we kind of have a rolling, sliding, concept about what a Kemetic scholar is. If we go back, it had more to do with archaeology, somebody who was really like either well studied in archaeology or, because that would give them a more of a firsthand experience as opposed to somebody who was maybe interpreting versions of Kemetic ideas, languages, and customs via foreigners. So that became a thing. Then as we learned more as a people, the language became a thing, so people kind of got locked into the concept of the Medu Necha and Medu Necha and Medu Necha. And, anybody who presented themselves as learning the Medu Necha, all of a sudden, this person is a qualified Kemetic scholar. And that's just not accurate. A person that knows the Medu Necha, whether they can read it really well or not at all, they're not a Kemetic scholar. You might be a Medu Necha scholar. You might be a Medu Necha buff. You might be a Medu Necha expert, but that doesn't qualify you as a Kemetic scholar. When you use the term Kemetic scholar, that would make you a scholar of Kemet. And Kemet is a country, a culture, and a group of people that, they gave the world a lot more than language. They gave the world science. They gave the world chemistry. They gave the world math, geometry, astronomy. So there are so many different things that make up that Kemetic culture. You need to know a lot more than just language in order to consider yourself a Kemetic scholar. And speaking specifically to the question, in Kemet, you got to remember they also had hieratic. So a lot of people act like that hieratic didn't exist. So there was a language for the priests. There was a language for, you know, a certain echelon of Kemetic society, and then there was a language for everyday people. And you know, a lot of the culture was interwoven throughout the language, especially the Medu Neter, because the Medu Neter had a specific design. The Medu Neter was, you know, it wasn't for common everyday use. Think about how bulky it is. Nobody's drawing pictures to send a message to their homeboy like that. So wait, so I'll let you go. Listen, before I let you go. So my point is this: in order to really fully understand the Medu Neter, you will also have to understand Kemetic science, Kemetic math, and Kemetic culture to an extent. So you can learn the phonetics of how to interpret the words and the glyphs in terms of language, but there's a whole nother level to understanding the mathematics, the science, the medicine, the geometry, etc., 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 and all of that in the concept of, obviously, of the metric. Go ahead.
But you are aware that hieratic is not a different language than Medu Neter. It's a different script of Medu Neter. It's not a separate language.
Correct, with separate usages.
Right. And some of us don't recognize that some of the texts that we read were actually written in hieratic and transliterated into Medu Neter so we can understand it.
Went backwards.
But Medu Neter.
Wait, and that's designed on purpose to hide the hieratic, which is the reason why a lot of people don't even know what that is.
Right. But Medu Neter would have been the original. And then you have hieratic would have been after Medu Neter. So Medu Neter would have been the original.
That's fine.
And you also
history. Listen, hold on. When we look at world history, it's very important because the line of continuity between today's languages and the languages of Kemet is broken if we don't understand that, because they try to separate the lineage of certain languages from Kemet, and you know, like even with Romance languages go straight back to Kemet. The Eurasian languages go back to Kemet. But if we don't have the Medu Neter sitting alongside the hieratic with equal weight, then you know, the continuity is broken in terms of how languages move from North Africa all the way around the globe. You know what I'm saying? And with language moving, also science is moving, math is moving, geometry is moving. And as those things are moving, power is moving, finances are moving, the ability to take care of your family and all of those things that, you know, on the surface level we struggle with. Those things fall up under those things that we overlook. So it's the nuance, or like how somebody would say, the devil's in the details. You know what I'm saying? So all of those things to me are equally important.
Right, but the language allows us to understand the culture much better, as opposed to listening to other people who we know are biased. Because when you talk to them, they tell you it's racist and it's biased. So it behooves a lot of us to go and learn the language formally from someone who looks like us, so we can at least trust them, as opposed to listening to other people's translation. Because when you recognize the language and the nuance and the grammar, you recognize how much nonsense they put forth in some of these text corpuses, and how they add a little extra sauce onto the languages. This is why you're going to run into a lot of difficulty when you run up against people who study Medu Neter, because they're going to emphatically disagree with you and tell you what you're saying cannot make sense according to their understanding of Medu Neter.
Right. Well,
hold on.
While you here, wait. While I got you, when you say that, I'm gonna run up against, because that really doesn't happen much. But like, can you give me a specific example of something that I teach that you personally disagree with?
I'll say this: you have a beautiful mind, and I like the way you interpret it. But when it comes to the language, I recognize that you, as you said, you don't necessarily have a full command.
I know, but I'm saying, give me a specific example.
When you had the debate with Enqi,
right,
and you interpreted that particular set of Medu Neter,
I know, but what exactly? Like specific? What exactly?
The glyphs didn't say what you said they said.
What glyph? Like, give me an exact specific example.
You were saying that men, you had men on the glyph, and you were talking about sperm, and you were talking about sperm and many sperm. You said that, but when you read the glyphs don't say anything about semen or sperm.
Right, but listen, hold on. The glyph didn't have to say, the words under the glyph didn't have to say anything about semen or sperm, because you're talking about the convex lens, correct?
Yes, and the microscope. Yes.
Right. And so what you're saying, right, is what you're trying to make the argument is that Kemet did not have the convex lens first.
When you look it up, what it's saying is
no. I'm asking you a question. Wait, listen. I'm asking you a very specific, direct question. Are you making the argument that Kemet did not have the convex lens first?
It's not a simple yes or no answer. It's not a simple yes or no answer. Because I can look it up and tell you that they would have had convex lenses as far as in statues, but they did not have microscopes or telescopes.
Okay, now hold on.
There's no evidence of that.
When you say that, right? When you say that there's no evidence of that, right? What you're talking about is a actual device separate from the blueprint for the mechanism or the creation of the device.
I'm talking about a microscope, as in
what I'm saying though is that what I showed was the blueprint for a microscope is in Kemet.
And
the blueprint for the microscope and the actual lenses. Now, do you know that the rest of the device is nothing more than holding the lens and the specimen in place? So the rest of the device is nothing.
But
I could ball up a cloth and put a slide at the bottom and put the lens.
I'm with you, Enqi.
Okay.
But when you look at the culture and the primary evidence doesn't say that there are any blueprints for microscopes or telescopes in ancient Kemet. That's your beautiful mind that's going to get that. That's your beautiful mind at work.
No, what that is your brainwashed and colonized mind. Because listen to what you just said. Let me recapitulate it. Let me recapitulate it for you. You just said that we need to study the language so we can get firsthand information and not depend.
Right, but you can't show me words from microscope.
Hold on. So you said that we shouldn't depend on these folks to tell us this and that. And now, when you get somebody like you from your culture that brings you firsthand research, what you do is you go and check with the people you said we're not supposed to check with to verify the firsthand information that you just got.
Well, the fact of the matter remains that all of us with our beautiful minds have no textbooks that are an authority. So you have to check with those who
we don't need a textbook. See, this is what I'm saying. Listen, hold on. Listen. If you know what a convex lens does, right? If you know what a convex, and this is why
the argument.
Listen, hold on. I want you to hear me. I want to hear you. I knew that when I signed up for Argument Alley, that somewhere in the alley was going to be an argument. So
okay,
I'm with the smoke. Do your thing. But what I'm saying is, this is why I was saying that understanding of science is required. Because if you haven't spent any time using a microscope, if you don't know what a convex lens means to the world, you won't really understand the reason why it needs to be hidden history. See, I should not have been the first person to bring that to the community, that Kemet gave the world the convex lens. That's the big problem. That's the big problem. See, a lot of times it's not the material that I'm bringing to the people. It's the fact that people are upset that it's me constantly bringing brand new material, as opposed to listening to people have arguments about regurgitated ideas and material over and over. So what cannot be argued is that Kemet gave the world the convex lens. period. That can't be argued because they left the convex lenses hidden in statues. It's not that they designed a convex lens for a statue. See, when somebody says that, that is ignorance at its finest. You cannot just overnight design a convex lens. A convex lens takes years and years and years of development.
Fact.
It takes a long time to develop a convex lens. Secondly, convex lenses that are in those statues are anatomically accurate to how the lens is shaped in your eye. So that means that outside of crafting of the glass and understanding magnification, they had to understand the human body's design to an extent. They had to understand ophthalmology and how your eyes work and all that to a certain extent. So if you don't know that, then it's easy for you to just say, oh yeah, well they put, we had convex lenses, for statues. Like, nah. There's no such thing as convex lenses for statues, because a convex lens takes it takes decades to develop. Putting convex lenses in a statue is two things. It's a repository for future generations, and it's also a flex. It's a flex showing that we are light years ahead of anything that anybody has going on. Because when you get a statue dated 3,000 years ago for convex lens, that means they was playing with convex lenses for maybe at least 100 years before they were able to put convex lenses in those statues. So that's why I'm saying you got to understand science before you understand everything about Kemet.
Well, you do know some people just have genuine disagreements.
Man, Black Power, man. What's good, fam?
And it's not necessarily that you're saying something new.
What's good, Enqi, man?
Yeah, let's pass it around, Jose, after this.
Right, move around, fam. Book a session, nigga. You need therapy.
Yeah, I wanna add on to that too. I want to add on to what Enqi's saying too.
Oh no.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so like when it comes to Kemet or any other African temples, monuments or whatever, we're not gonna pretend like they didn't steal anything out of them. Like, let's stop doing that right now. Another thing is too, I gave a presentation about telescopes in Kemet on another on Super Sean Wavy's channel. And I referenced Check Anta Job. So Check Anta Job in his book, right, confirms that, not confirms, but he actually tells you that they had to use telescopes or convex lenses to be able to align the pyramids and other monuments to celestial bodies, right? So it's just too much for somebody to arbitrarily say that certain things didn't exist in Kemet, all because we haven't physically found it, when you have other things that point to the fact that they had it. And another thing is, African teachings are figurative. So when you look at a stele, right, and you see an actual image, right, an action scene, the action scene is no longer in place, all because there's meta nature, right? So you have your inscriptions. It's useful to learn them, but just like if I was to study classical French history, right, I don't have to be fluent in French. So we got to get this out of our heads. Like, while it is important to study meta nature, you do not have to be proficient in it to study steles, because they have a thing called liberal arts and visual arts. That's an actual field that you can study to interpret actual sculptures.
That's a fact. And so is biosemiotics. And the thing with the thing that just, to take it to another step is theoretical sciences is something that was invented in Egypt and Greece. In Kemet, and I make a distinction between Kemet and Egypt, because Kemet, like there's really no such thing as ancient Egypt. Egypt begins when Alexander the Great and the Ptolemies and all them come. That's Egypt. Kemet is pre-Greece and beyond. So in Kemet, everything was demonstrative, meaning if you knew a science, the way you demonstrated you knew a science is by doing something with it. You didn't necessarily need to write down formulas and equations and this and that to show you knew something. The way you showed you knew something is by doing something with the science. So, okay, if you have a great grasp of geometry and math, boom, let's, put a pyramid right there. Like we're gonna encapsulate the geometry and the math, and we're gonna put something right here that demonstrates this. And so when you look at that specific stele with the convex lens and the blueprint for the microscope, what they're showing you is the largest flex of all times. They're showing you a sperm cell. And the beauty of the sperm cell is it takes away the need of showing a whole bunch of other things. The sperm cell is the smallest cell in the human body. It is impossible. And everybody can open up other screens and Google it or Gemini it or Chat GPT it or whatever search engine you're comfortable with. Ask that search engine, is it possible to see a sperm cell with the naked eye? And they would say it's impossible. It's not possible. So it was not possible for them to get the convex lens with the specimen tray, with the sperm, with the actual metal nature sign, the line that means many, the three lines that means many or multitude, under the sperms, none of that. That's just, if you apply a Cam's razor, or Occam's razor, it doesn't. There's no other logical thing to deduce, especially when you add in the fact that the convex lenses are still there in Kemet or in museums that they have taken from Kemet. It's no. Now, if there was no proof of actual convex lenses, it would be an argument. But the fact that in 2026 we still have the lenses there, it's really no argument on that. It's just something that we should be proud of ourselves and our lineage, and pass that on to our children and say, you know what, we them, you know what I'm saying? We them, and we can do more with less today, because typically that's who we are. We innovate, we create, we design, this is what we do. So that's the message we got to pass on. And listen, if it hurts y'all to say, because I know we got a community that has snuck into the conscious community of gatekeepers. I know y'all don't think that there's no gatekeepers in the conscious community. Y'all are fooling yourselves. So
I call them out all the time. So
and it hurts these people to think that the guy without the university degree with the gold teeth from the Bronx is bringing these things to the people. A, because their job is to stop that from happening, and then B, because of the way people look at them, they're expected to bring these discoveries or bring this research to the people. And so a lot of times when people bring these things and share these things, they almost question the people that they look to as the quote unquote Kemetic expert or this or that or metal nature person or whatever it is. Because we all watch a bunch of different channels and listen to a bunch of, so it almost challenges that person, because they're like, well, Enqi said. So it's almost like, well, hold up, how come you didn't tell us? We've been listening to you for 10 years. How come you didn't tell us that there would be no such thing as biology on Earth in any school, in any university, if it wasn't for Kemet? How come you didn't tell us that? Why the dude with the gold teeth that, why he had to tell us this? and show us the documentation and the art and the like what? Why is he bringing this in? So a lot of times is that it's not what I'm saying, it's who's saying it.
Okay, I'm gonna make sure I pass this around. So let's get a question from who else came up first. I think it was Suave Boss next, and then Lord Benu.
Suave Boss in the building.
Suave Boss. I just debated Suave yesterday. Go check it out.
What's good, big brother Enqi, man? You already know, bro.
Yo, you got a W yesterday, I assume, right?
Oh yeah, man. I watched it, man. What we talking about, man? Yeah, you know. But yeah, man, it was hard, man. But I appreciate you, bro, for talking in, man. I'm curious in the next question they won't got, but I think it was a couple people up here before who ain't said nothing before I said something. Ron, I ain't heard him speak. I think to
Yo.
Go ahead, Ron, and then Lord Benu.
Yeah. What up, Dr. Enqi? What up, panel? Everybody up here. Lord Benu, Siddiqui, my man Suave, and of course A1 the boss, Titan in the building. Dr. Enqi, I was just wondering, you said that there must be a God. If you're a Mason, you must believe. Is there a specific God that all of them have to believe in, or you can believe in your own God?
No, yeah, you just have to believe in God. There's not a specific, there's not like a Masonic God. I see a lot of exposed YouTube videos where they're like, no, they gotta believe in Satan, or they gotta believe in Moloch and blah blah, you know, all that crazy stuff. But no,
Okay.
There's people who are initiated into Masonry, that are Christian, that are Catholic. There's people that come in and they don't even want to use the Bible. They come in with the Quran or an Allah, or they come in with the Pert Emheru coming forth by day. You know, they come in with their own holy text. You know, they come in. Then there are countries that, you know, those aren't even, you know, like they might be using the Book of Changes in China, but so no, you just have to believe in God.
Long as you got a higher power, long as you believe in a higher power over you, basically.
Well, yeah, because I mean, not necessarily over you, but you need to, your oath, your word needs to mean something. And then also, you know, certain things that you're going to learn about the world and history, you need to kind of understand some other stuff. So yeah, it's the requirement is there for a few different reasons.
All right, thanks a lot, Doc.
Yes, sir.
Tahuti, Sadiq.
I can just ask a question. Are you Afrocentric, or would you say that you're Kemetic, or if not, why not?
Man, hold up. So I got to ask you a question. You got to school me a little bit. So is Afrocentric separate from Kemetic in 2026? Is that like those are two different those are two different gangs?
Actually, it is, but not correctly, because people try to separate West Central Africa from Kemet. But I was just asking you as put it as a choice. They're both the same, but I was just trying to like give you a more detailed question.
Okay, and catch me slipping, all good. So yeah, I would definitely say that I'm Afrocentric. I'm also Amerocentric. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to take away from the greatness of what was going on this continent before 1492. But yeah, I would say, yeah, I'm definitely Kemetic in a sense of I'm Kemetic in the sense of their science and their the way they saw the world, and you know how far ahead in terms of research and development, you know, they were. And so yeah, I would definitely, I wouldn't limit myself to comedic or, you know, Afrocentric, but definitely those, you know, I got those qualities, sure.
That's all I had. Thanks. I appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
And I was muted a second ago. Can everybody hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Great, great. Um, is capitalism inherently exploitative?
Is capitalism inherently exploitative? That's a hell of a question. Is capitalism inherently exploitative? Yo, that's how I know somehow you connected with knowledge. These is knowledge type questions. Is capitalism inherently exploitative? So I would say first that exploitative is not inherently bad.
You fine, baby?
Right? It's almost like the term expose. You know, starting back with exposed DVDs, we have a euphemistic idea that just creates a negative connotation on somebody being exposed. But every day we fight for exposure. If you online and you're a YouTuber, you're trying to get exposure. You want to be exposed. You're looking for more audiences, more platforms, more people. Like people say, "Oh, he's clout chasing," or like everybody that has a platform is clout chasing. You trying to get more attention. You know what I'm saying? So, and then in terms of exploitive, like you try to exploit your resources. Whatever it is that you have, you try to use that and leverage that to get what it is that you want, whether that is attention or whether that's to be able to take care of your babies and, you know, take care of your bills or whatever it is that you got going on in your mind. So, sure, capitalism is definitely exploitative. You know, I kind of learned a lesson about it when I was. So here's and this may hit for some people it'll just be extra talking, but when I think I was like 15, no 14, I had got a job with Summer Youth in New York in the Bronx, and the first day I was with Summer Youth, I almost got fired because I was working, and everybody was looking at me crazy. And by lunch, the district, you know, like the district manager or district supervisor came and was like, "Yo, you got rolled up and they want me to fire you." And I'm like, "How? Ain't nobody else working. I'm the only one like working." He was like, "Yo, that's the problem. So listen, I'm gonna move you to another site. And when you get there, you go and relax. People just collecting these checks and taking it easy. Ain't nobody really working. So I'm gonna give you another shot." And so, you know, just like blend in, do what everybody else doing. If people working, then you get up and work. If not, you just kind of, you know, blend in.
You was trying to be a superstar, huh?
I thought, I was trying to get promoted. Like, by the time I'm 14, I already have children. You know what I'm saying? So my mind, anywhere I go, I'm you know, I'm trying to do the most. So anyway, later on, I got a job down in Midtown as a messenger, and that was my first job, like on commission. And I'm having a Gavante Davis moment right now. My hair grease is dripping into my eye. But I learned then that I preferred to be in a situation where the harder I worked, the more innovative I was, the more creative I was, you know, that would be recognized in a positive sense. Like I would get more money or get promoted or, you know, whatever it was, as opposed to being in a system where laziness is rewarded. And, you know, like no matter how much work you do, you're going to get paid the same amount of money. No matter how much work you do, you're going to have that same position. You know, I prefer to be in a mobile situation where I know I'm accountable for me. It's not like a victim kind of mindset. I know that whatever situation I'm in this situation because I put myself here. And if I want to get out of this situation, it's me that's going to be accountable for getting myself out of this situation. So capitalism definitely has its downsides, but I think a lot of what people complain about capitalism about is really their ignorance, again, to understanding American history and world history and the history specifically to the dollar and the banking system. And not only what the dollar is in the banking system, but what actual value is, you know, because a lot of people talk about, you know, fiat currency, it doesn't have a real value, and gold standard and this and that, but people don't really talk about what actual value is, and have deeper conversations there. So, and I think people are limited to have those conversations because if you're not into spiritual science or you're not into God or, you know, what most people will call religion, your understanding of what true value is going to be limited.
And these are just random questions. Does anybody else on the panel have a question?
These are some hellified questions. I just want to.
Oh man, like I'm having fun hearing them expound because it's been a minute since I heard brother break down, you know, and then
Right.
like this is another level. Like man, like there's more value in that opportunity, you know, than you kick them in the nuts. Here, you know,
That's
here
exactly
though.
what I'm saying. Like, it's not all about trying to trip him up. You know,
Right.
sometimes
Right.
just soak up the wisdom. You
But
feel
I
me?
know bro be with the shit sometimes though. You know what I'm saying? Like yeah, I slap box with you a little bit. So I mean, other than other than that, yeah, go ahead, God.
Okay.
But I did okay, but this was a concern I had, like because you said that your you said that you had your own, you had your own religion.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that religion is in compliance with Masonry. Do
Yeah.
they recognize your religion?
No.
Okay. Okay.
They don't recognize it, but they don't like not recognize it. I don't.
Yeah, but to get you in the door. Yeah, they don't.
The major bodies of masonry are aware of me and my religion. So I don't think that they you know, it's not like they have evaluated it and decided, nah, we can't accept this, or you know, but it's not like outside of the bounds of, you know, yeah, it's not outside, it's not out of bounds. So that wouldn't be an issue.
Appreciate it.
You consider yourself a healer, right?
Yes, sir.
So what do you think about the diet? Now, do you think Africans should take on a certain diet, or do you think it's not about being African, it's just about being healthy overall? What's your take on that?
Yeah, I think it's definitely a human. I think it's definitely a human thing. You know, all people are unique. You know, fingerprints and footprints and stuff like that is just the tip of the iceberg. When we get inside
Facts.
the body, yeah,
Facts.
when we get inside the body, your insides are unique. You know, so but on the flip side to that, my movement is called Melanin versus Diabetes. And there is a reason to take a African or black or melanated stance. And that is more education, finance, and you know, society and the caste system. And you know, we're underserved. You know, we're underserved. And part of that, again, is global ignorance, but our ignorance, because if you look around, Chinese people have taken upon themselves, you know, to put together their Chinese thing. You know what I'm saying? You go to Montefiore or whatever, these Jewish hospitals, you know what I'm saying? Like Germans have taken care of Germans, and everybody has put together their own thing to address the nuances of their people. We haven't really got there yet. You know what I'm saying? Oprah put together a few dollars and she put a school in Africa. She ain't put nothing in Chicago. She put a school in Africa. You know what I'm saying? So like we haven't really got to addressing our thing, and in replacement of Grey's Anatomy. A lot of people know Grey's Anatomy, the TV show, but Grey's Anatomy, the TV show, comes from the main. I'm not going to say curriculum, but the main book series that they use through like high school and college and medical school to teach anatomy and medicine. Like it's one of the the mainstays of our medical establishment in America, which for the record is the worst medical system in the world. But in our replacement of that, we created a series of books called Black's Anatomy, and you can get the books on Amazon. It's 5 books. And one of the things that we do in Black's Anatomy is we have a timeline that we work from, because it's important that while at the same time we need to recognize inherent racism in the institutions that we deal with. A lot of the things that we would attribute to being racism is just ignorance. Like in America, we get the first medical school in 1765. Right? It's not until like another 50 years later that we have a actual understanding of what a water molecule is, right? So when you think of the fact that the human body is made mostly of water, and they started medical school without knowing what water is, you know that it's not possible that they knew how the human body worked when they started medical school, because they didn't even know what water was, right? So we have a timeline where we're able to look at the entire medical system and just get a better understanding of where, like, vitamins don't come into play like until the 1900s. So 1905, 1910 is the discovery of the first vitamin. So you have medical school for 200 years before you know what a vitamin is. And we get vitamins before we even get cellular respiration, or like the Krebs cycle, or like how your body breaks down nutrition. So we don't have an understanding of like bioelectricity, or light being produced, or magnetism being harnessed, or any of those things in the human body until honestly like the last 50 years. So the reason why I'm saying that, the thing that makes Black people Black, that binds us together, and the thing that made white folks bond together around racism, or at least racism, is the skin tone, melanin, right? And so if they didn't get an understanding of the Krebs cycle, a solid understanding, until the 1960s, that means there could be no real understanding of what pigment did for the human body until following that. So a lot of the real understanding of what pigment does in the body is coming in the last 40 years. Like they just discovered a certain group of melanocytes in the heart. So you have the same way you have neuromelanin, you have a whole group of melanocytes in the heart that are called cardiac melanocytes. These are the cells that actually maintain the rhythm and the beat of the heart. No matter whether you white, black, red, yellow, or in between somewhere, like that's it, or an animal. You know what I'm saying? Like this, that's how the heart works. So but a lot of things needed to come in play first before we could get an understanding of what pigment even, like what it really does. So if we didn't get Max Planck and Maxwell and all of those guys, and that laid the groundwork for quantum mechanics, you couldn't really get an understanding of pigment, because the true value of pigment is not really in atoms. It's in quantum mechanics. It's in electrons and photons and protons and that exchange. So before we had a grip or even a inkling of understanding, because I wouldn't even say we have a grip. I would say the world right now, we just beginning to understand this stuff. But yeah, so without a quantum understanding, we couldn't understand pigment. Without the understanding of pigment, the people who are most densely pigment are, of course, going to be underserved, because there's a large portion of your anatomy that's not being, you don't know what it is. You don't know what it's for. And so it only makes sense when you learn that pigment is what what regulates energy metabolism in your body, that the people with the most dense pigment have energy metabolism disease, which is diabetes. So it only made sense once we put it into context, the roots of diabetes, and get to it. Coincidentally, the first documentation of diabetes is in Kemet.
Right. I wanted to just ask you one final question. To what extent?
Amber, let me call you back. I'm on a live stream, so as soon as I get off the live stream, I'm gonna call you back.
Oh, okay.
All right, don't disappear though. My bad.
Yes, I actually got two questions. They real quick though. To what extent does melanin have power in your teaching, and do you trust vaccines?
We ain't getting indicted. We are not getting indicted today. But so I would say regarding vaccines, I would say my official stance on vaccines is I'm not for vaccines or against vaccines. I'm for educated usage, educated voluntary usage. So that's my thing. I think that people need to get information and make decisions for themselves, because you will be the only person living with the results. Period. If it works well or if it doesn't work well, you are going to feel that impact. A vaccine company, if a person dies from an adverse effect of a vaccine company or pharmaceutical company, they don't really feel an impact. Like, that doesn't hurt the president of the company. He doesn't know that person. You know what I'm saying? And as far as they're concerned, they're looking at numbers on the paper. So if 10 people die, but they feel like, 10 million people were protected, those 10 people that died is justified. Now, to the family of one of them 10 people, it's their whole world is rocked. So again, I just say that, education is the thing on that. You know what I'm saying? Education is the thing on that. But with melanin, right? With melanin, it's not necessarily that melanin has like a power. You know what I'm saying? And there's some pushback from the scientific community, because before people understood what it was, people were like Enqi would say, over whooping it, because it was the source of agony. It was the thing that made that made you ostracized. It was the reason why you were getting mistreated the way you were getting. So people just tried to turn that weakness into a strength, or that perceived weakness into a strength, without necessarily a concrete scientific backing on it. But you have a variety of pigments. You have melanin, you have pheomelanin, you have neuromelanin. And that's just, you even have, as research continues, you even have more nuanced categories in those spaces. But neuromelanin is the most interesting of the three, because neuromelanin doesn't come from a melanocyte, it comes from a neuron. So that highlights the relationship between neurons and melanocytes. But also neuromelanin is a combination of pheomelanin and eumelanin. So I think that right there, you know, it helps to bridge the gap with, you know, certain racism, because everybody's brain, your neuromelanin is not, no matter how black you are, your neuromelanin is not eumelanin only. It is a combination of pheomelanin and eumelanin, which creates a more perfect semiconductor. But it's not just melanin. When you talk about pigment in the human body, you have a wide variety of options. And I think the conversation around options makes the pigment conversation more, you know, it adds a breadth and a variety, and it just opens up the door to so much more. Because like you hear guys like Jack Cruz, who, you know, Jack Cruz, it sounds like he knows what he's talking about, but Jack really don't know what he be talking about. But you'll hear people like him, and they talk a lot about the eye and the pigments in the eye. And the reason why they stick to pigments in the eye is because the eye is rich in melanin and it's also rich in opsins. But all throughout your body, you have opsins. You have opsins everywhere. And in the future, opsins are going to take a primary place in terms of medicine. That's one of the reasons why I like what RFK is doing. There's a lot of reasons why I like what he's doing, but that's just one of the reasons. But you got opsins, you got globins. So you got a wide variety of pigments in the body, and they all do the same thing in terms of translating energy. Now, they all have different functions, and they function in terms of specific areas of the spectrum and different aspects
Facts.
of energy.
Facts. I
And
was going to
all,
say it is a difference. Facts.
yeah, but they come together in terms of your overall body's energy system, and they're all impacted in terms of diabetes. So if you notice, one of the things that people with diabetes deal with is loss of eyesight, right? Because your pigment is going to be affected wherever it is. When we understand the relationship of just the pigment family, the A1C number becomes more important, because the A1C number is measuring how impacted the hemoglobin is from the sugar. But hemoglobin is just one type of pigment. You know what I'm saying? So you got to think, what about the myoglobin? The myoglobin is inside the muscles. The myoglobin takes the oxygen from the hemoglobin, translated to the mitochondria. So, you know, before you get to a mitochondria conversation, you need to have a myoglobin conversation, you know, but most people don't. Like a lot of these health guys, they just really like selling products or whatever. So they don't really get that deep into the science part of it. You only really have athletes that discuss myoglobin, and they only have the discussion in regard to VO2 max, right? But VO2 max is a great measure of overall health, because you know, your metabolism and your respiration have to stay coupled. Oxygen is how you not only metabolize fat, but it's also how you break down food and recycle water and ATP. So you know, so yeah, so your pigment system is way bigger than melanin, and is definitely getting more attention as time goes on, because of, you know, quantum mechanics. As you know, we're learning that, you know, the electrons and the photons, the things that go beyond atoms, are you know, is what our biology runs on. And that right there is the true definition of spirituality. Is the fact that the unseen world regulates the seen world, and that the breath
Facts.
is our link to the unseen world. So when
Facts.
you go to Genesis chapter 2, verse 7, you know, Genesis chapter 2, verse 7 encapsulates that whole, you know, it's a whole lot of science right there. And you don't have to get lost on the Bible or religion or whatever, because Genesis chapter 2 comes directly from the walls in Kemet. So if you're uncomfortable getting the information from the Bible, you can just go to Kemet, where Khnum has man right there, and you got the Kemenu or the Agdo representative putting the Ankh to the nostril, representing the first breath, because the breath is the breath is what's responsible for creating the living soul or spirit, or how people are comfortable with phrasing it. But if you look up the etymology to get the definitions of those terms in the Bible, they're not talking about the spooky ideas that most people, promote. If you look up the etymology and definition of spirituality, Holy Ghost, Holy Spirit, it's going to come back to the breath, inspiration, or respiration. So it's the bridge between the unseen and the seen world.
Appreciate that answer, man. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I got a couple. I got a question.
I got a
Um,
question. Serious cancer.
yeah, right. Yeah, that's funny you say that. That's actually what I'm about to ask about.
Hold
Regarding
on,
this,
hold on. Sadiq, after you, I want to pass it to King Herc, and go ahead.
yeah.
Oh, I was going on. They
Uh,
want me to get up there.
okay.
Oh yeah, I thought you
Did,
were asleep or something. Go ahead.
this cancer, this melanin, pheomelanin in particular, to indicate as one of its differences is typically innately carcinogenic. Do you agree to that, Dr. Enqi?
That pheomelanin
It's innately, right,
is innately carcinogenic.
even before the UV hits it, which also, of course, will enhance the chance of developing a myeloma. But
Yeah,
right,
I would disagree.
okay. You melanin, I would say, is more photoprotective. Well, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Here's what I would say about the pheomelanin.
Okay.
I would say we're coming from and this is on any subject. On any subject, this is how humans go. We're totally ignorant, then we learn a little bit, and as we learn a little bit, we get a lot of superstition, because the little bit we learn makes us start to make a whole bunch of guesses about what we don't know. So that area becomes superstition, and we get a little crazy. But then as we learn more and more and more, we get less superstition, and we get more streamlined, and we're able to, put more things in perspective. So
Facts. Perspective. Right.
So I would say with pheomelanin, I think there's a time period where it seemed that way, that pheomelanin in and of itself may have been intrinsically cancerous, because there's a time period where we was running around saying white folks didn't even have no melanin. We was running around saying
Some did, right.
White folks don't have any melanin. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So then we learn a little bit more,
Right.
and we go, oh, okay, so white folks and light-skinned folks do have melanin. It's just a different type. And amongst the people, there's different variations. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, Chris Brown has, some eumelanin and some pheomelanin, but he ain't got what I got. You know what I'm saying? So, it's variations. You know what I'm saying? And then if you take a German doesn't necessarily look like a Sicilian. A Sicilian doesn't necessarily look like a person from Ireland. You know what I'm saying? Like, so even amongst what we would consider to be white folks, there's variation in the pigment. You know what I'm saying? So I think as we learn then the impact of the sun, right? Because there's a point where we're ignorant to the sun, and we believe that sunlight is what we're get. And when there's no sunlight and it's dark outside, there's no sunlight. You know what I'm saying? But now we know that most of the light is invisible. We see less than 1% of actual light. So there's always light. Even when it's dark, it's just dark because our pigment cannot convert the wavelengths of light into what we would consider to be brightness. But there's light. Like, we can't see the the wireless the wireless Wi-Fi that's going into your laptop or your cell phone, but that's light. That's a form of light, radio waves, light. So now that we know that we're constantly inundated like a fish in water with different wavelengths of light, our pheomelanin, our eumelanin, combination thereof is always active. And so pheomelanin is a lot less protective than eumelanin is. So it gives people that are pheomelanin dominant a much higher risk for a wide variety of cancers. But in and of itself, like just sitting there totally left alone, it doesn't just explode into cancer. Something has to mess with it in order for it to be challenged, and you get a free radical cascade, and the unchecked free radical cascades can definitely lead to carcinogenic environments for your tissue.
I'll repeat. I don't know if you guys heard me. I think I was muted. You mentioned free radical. That's actually one of the key mechanisms that causes intrinsic triggers for cancer. It has a high rate of oxidative stress.
That's a fact.
Yeah, I'm not going to push it or whatever, but it's very, very interesting. What we're getting into, and so forth. It's interesting. So it's not meant to. It can't really absorb. There is a reason for the color of it. This is we're dealing with pheomelanin. We're talking about the red and the yellow, which is a lower, retains lower energy levels from this environment versus the eumelanin brown black variety, which kind of also explains its not less, I should just say, photoprotective properties.
Right, and then listen, you have two different main types of pheomelanin.
Right.
And then you have two different main types of eumelanin.
Right.
So even amongst eumelanin, there's still a hierarchy where one is more,
right.
One is more absorbent,
right,
than the other. And then when you get into pheomelanin, pheomelanin is primarily going to be cysteine based or
right.
glutathione based,
right, which is essentially sulfur based, right, as well, right.
Right. Both of those are sulfur. You know what I'm saying? Cysteine and glutathione are both
right.
sulfur.
Now you're talking about pheomelanin, though, right?
Correct.
Facts,
right. But what I'm saying is, in pheomelanin space, right? You have cysteine-based pheomelanin and you have glutathione-based pheomelanin. The glutathione-based pheomelanin offers more antioxidant capacity than the cysteine-based. But even the cysteine-based pheomelanin still offers protection because cysteine in and of itself is used as an antioxidant by your body, no matter how dark you are. So, it's we're learning more every day the more we study.
But you do feel like we got a lot, like we're nowhere, right? In the wholeness of understanding the body, like we're just touching the surface recently.
Facts.
And
I agree with that, because if we look back, every generation of people got confident that they knew everything, and in the next 100 years they learned things that blew away whatever it was the last. So yeah, I definitely try to stay humble on the fact that even the cochlea of the ear. The cochlea of the ear is an important organ, but it's so small that the human eye can't see it. It was discovered almost by mistake. So how many other organs do we have hidden in the human body that's so tiny we can't even
exactly.
Yes, Doc. Yeah, for
and
sure.
Like you were saying about light that's not being registered in the vision that you're seeing. Like your body is picking up more information than what's being represented to you visually or audio. You know what I'm saying? Like, but it knows not to blind you with all of the light information. So it's like, this is what's important. And this light is used for equilibrium or whatever. Whatever we understand, we find out about the body.
Yeah. Even if you take it to a simple level, right? Even if you take it to a simple space, like when you go to a club, right, or at the house. Put it like this: at the house, right? Most people listening to this are listening to this video we're doing right now, either on their phone or their laptop or their tablet or something, right? So we know that there's an audio that comes out of your phone or your laptop at a certain quality, right? Now, if you put on some high quality headphones, right? You got some Bose, you got some iPod, the Apple Max, or you got some studio quality headphones, that same sound coming out your laptop sound totally different. At studio, you know what I'm saying? And then if you go to a club where the speakers is the same size as you, there's a whole nother level to the experience, which is why, like, when people record music, a lot of times they like to check the songs. They like to hear it in the studio, but then they like to leave the studio and go in the car and turn it up in the car and see what it do in the car, because there's a whole nother aspect of your body which is outside of pigment. It works with pigment, but it's outside of pigment, and it translates energy, and it's called piezoelectric tissues, right? And so your bones are piezoelectric, your collagen is piezoelectric. So that means most of your organs have piezoelectric aspects to them. And so that converts another level of energy into biochemical information and molecules. So there's your body has a wide variety of ways to convert the unseen into the seen, or the unseen into biology and biochemistry. So I definitely, I just like to keep a humble or meek perspective when it comes to how much I know and then how much the world knows. You know what I'm saying?
Facts. Yeah. Hey, Doc, earlier you said that eumelanin is also share a commonality with cysteine-based pheomelanin. Eumelanin isn't cysteine-based.
No.
It's tyrosine-based.
No. I'm not saying eumelanin.
Okay, you mentioned that earlier. Okay,
no,
I think like they're equivalent, and there's a lot of differences.
Listen, there's two different types of eumelanin. And there's also two different types of pheomelanin.
Right, I got that. Right.
And one of the pheomelanins is cysteine-based, and the other one is glutathione-based.
Right.
Yeah. That's all I was saying. No.
Okay.
When it comes to eumelanin is tyrosine, and protein, and tryptophan plays a role.
Right.
Copper enzymes. Yeah, it's a whole nother pocket.
All right, bet. Can I take it in another direction? If A1 cool, you good?
Can I get in there real quick?
I just want to pass it around, Lord, and then
I want a Benu question. He just been cool.
Lord Benu, and then King Hurt.
Yeah, I've been trying to get in there, man. I ain't want to bully my way in there. You know what I'm saying? I just wanted to.
Sometimes that's what you gotta do.
I was right there at the door. He told me to bust it open.
That's crazy.
Yeah, Swab Boss was trying to box me out, but I'm in here now. You heard? But I just wanted to give a brother his flowers, man. I've been a fan since, you know what I'm saying, copping DVDs from the corner stores, man, and out in the streets from the bodybuilding lectures. You know what I'm saying?
It's basically what he's telling you to your face.
Nah. Listen. It was a lot of bootlegs back then, but the bootlegs was a part of the culture. See, listen, let me say this, and I'm glad you brought up the bootlegs, but because listen, what you don't realize, well, what a lot of people may not realize is that we had, I would say, probably $100 million industry that we lost. We lost because, people traded it for the new shiny thing, and the new shiny thing was the internet. Before YouTube, the big platforms in the conscious space on YouTube was actually the people who was promoting and doing venues in their own cities. So before YouTube, there were venues in all of the major cities around America, and even some outside the country people used to run back and forth to. But there was venues all across the city. I mean, all across the country. So you could be constantly on it. Like I was in 5 or 6 cities a month, and somebody recorded the content. You might take your content home and edit it, or somebody might do that for you. Every lecture, you got different vendors there. They all earning a living with whatever they got going on, whether they selling food, shirts, or Malcolm X buttons. You know what I'm saying? Like we had 1,000 different people selling shapes. But it was a whole culture, and people got to be in the same space with each other. You know what I'm saying? The respect level was just a little bit higher. We were still violating each other, but the respect level was a little bit higher because people got into fights sometimes. You got to bump into people. You can't just say stuff and not seeing that you're gonna see it that sooner or later. You know what I'm saying? But your kids got to grow up with other folks' children, and it was just we had a lot more control over what we was doing. There was some people selling their DVDs like Ashwa Crazy and them for $50 or $100. Some people were selling their stuff 3 for $10. Some people were selling them for $1. Some people 10. Some people, but you controlled the market on your content. And even with the bootlegging, the bootlegging helped to open up markets for you. So you lost money on the DVDs, but if you was moving around teaching, you would gain the opportunity to teach in a new place by somebody bootlegging your content, because if they bootlegging your content in another city, that right there is going to create a bunch of people that will want you to come to that city and do a live presentation. So yeah, it was it was a whole universe that we had where people was really living what they were saying. People didn't have to go 9 to 5 and work for the man or the colonizer and all that. Like we had all of the things that we said we need to create solutions for now. We already had it and we gave it away because we couldn't appreciate what we had. You know what I'm saying? Like, so we had people with jobs and working and all that. Now we getting what, 1 penny for 10,000 views?
Right. Yeah.
Monetization is crazy. Like,
I just wanted I wanted to give you some props too, because that Rhesus Christ lecture, man, that changed my life, man. You know what I'm saying? That kind of sent me in the direction towards where I am now. My name is Lord Banu. I shepherd an organization of wolves in sheep's clothing called the Universal Melanin Enrichment Center of Abundance, and UMECA for short. And
it's a hell of a title. I like that.
I appreciate you, man. And I just wanted to hear your take, if you still held the same stance that you did in that Rhesus Christ lecture, as far as the blood that you were talking about in there. And I have one more question, but I'll let you touch on that first, you feel me? And then I'll get to my last question. Get out the way.
Definitely. And my YouTube is Jed School. So we still teaching. We got 100, 200 books on Amazon. But I don't know exactly what specific thing out of the Rhesus Christ, but I probably still have some, I still probably agree, to some extent to whatever it is that I was talking about, just probably more evolved because I've been able to learn more, and the more you learn, the more your stances. That was probably 15 years ago or 10. That was more than 10 years ago, right?
Way more than 10 years ago.
Yeah, so I definitely probably have evolved a bit from then, but yeah.
And you said, Parsa, I was saying, you said the name of your YouTube channel was what?
Jed School, Dr. Enqi Jed School.
All right, bet. Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, so I definitely you know, I'm definitely against the concept of eating for your blood type. You know, you know, so we went through a whole phase studying the blood and moving from the blood to haplotypes and moving from haplotypes to overall understanding DNA and arguing about DNA and now to the point where, you know, because the world, or at least like the people who make a religion out of science, they believed, as people believed, that the DNA was totally mapped, and they believed in the concept of, you know, 2% DNA and junk DNA and blah, blah, blah. And now we know that there's no such thing as junk DNA. The God people got a W on that, because all of the God people were saying God doesn't make junk. There's no such thing as junk DNA. And all of the hardcore atheist people was like, well, according to the latest research, 97% of the DNA has no purpose, and so that is called junk DNA. And we can back that up with several studies coming out of Harvard. And now, as of 2010, I believe, all those studies have been thrown in the trash. There's no such thing as junk DNA. And there are not just one code that works in the DNA, but there are 5 functional codes and 1 overall operational code that the DNA works through or by. So it's not even just a matter of you know, the old school codons anymore. The conversation has expanded a lot. So so yeah, so we you know, we've been working.
That's what's up, man. And I wanted to appreciate that. And I want to get to my second question, my last question. I'll get out your way. We're the organization I just mentioned, UMECA. We're in the process of doing a reset, which is our setup for the new year that is approaching, and going through some dietary intermittent fastings. Well, we call it a live it instead of a diet. And we call ourselves Goditarians because we strive to be as close to God as possible with our live it. And I would just ask you if there was any pointers or any suggestions you would give us as far as moving forward with creating our own jubilees and celebrations and practices that we witness along the way, as far as celebrating who we are and rediscovering who we are, and pretty much changing the perception of our identity in the community right now, because we're in the process of creating terms to better describe who we are and the reality that we're experiencing, being that a lot of our culture, language, and things were stripped from us. So we want to recreate those things, and that's advantageous to us in this reality. So if there's any advice or anything pointers you would want to give us to help us out on that journey, it'd be greatly appreciated.
Man, okay, great. Let me say this. I got to shout out Abundance Child. Abundance Child was the first person I ever heard use the term live it. She might have created it, but I know she corrected me. And this was early 2000s. She was like, Enqi, you got to stop telling. This is before I was, you know, a doctor. This is Minister Enqi days. You got to stop saying diet. It just sounds like we're dying, okay? You got to start to say live it. I was like, what the hell is a live it? You just made that up. She was like, yeah, but it sounds way better. So shout out to Abundance Child. But we did the 40-day fruit fast, and you know, we started that, and we did that hardcore for about, you know, 10 years or so, and you know, we still do it sporadically. So I have books on that on online on Amazon. I have a book that I just released called The Monk Manual, which has more short form, like sporadic, you know, lock-ins to where you go on like a monk retreat, but in your own house. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't have to pay somebody to go up into a mountain or whatever the case may be. You just gotta, disconnect. Stop talking to your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your homeboys, your homegirls. Stop watching internet. Turn off your phone. No timeline. Just spend time reading and thinking and reading and thinking, and just, splash some prayer all in the mix of the thinking and the reading. And then you having a retreat, you know what I'm saying? And usually something magnificent comes out of that process. I would also say, with all due respect to the financial year and the fact that we all need money, people should try to get out of the habit of waiting until they're at their weakest to try and get to be their healthiest. Our body is tied to the activity of our sun. We're constantly in a conversation with our home star, right? So that's one of the things that has come full circle from Kemet, to where, you had people who made fun of Kemetic science, Kemetic naturopathy. We have a whole series of books on Kemetic naturopathy online. But they made fun of the Kemetic science because they was like, yeah, and they thought that, they were magical people. So they had things mixed into their science, like communicating with the sun every day and blah, blah, blah. Now we know that there's a large majority of people getting diabetes and all kinds of other things because, we have to stay connected to the sun. And we know that communication is much more than, words. Communication is just a exchange of energy or information. And that exchange of energy and information with the sun is our primary sustenance. So, I would say that we have to make it a thing that we need to do that in the summertime, not just in the winter when we're at our weakest, because the sun is at its weakest. So we're furthest away from the sun. But, throughout the year, all throughout the year. So that's one of the reasons why the monk manual is good. And then we have already, like I said earlier, I have my own religion. We already have our own calendar. So that's also online. People can grab the book. We have our own whole calendar with our own whole holidays and the whole 9 year round. And, we had our own calendar with star alignments and constellations and the whole nine. But yeah, I think I think all of those things are absolutely important because it's really not, and this is something that you learn in masonry, but it's really not about a goal. You know what I'm saying? Like people in masonry, when they jump in masonry, most people, their thing is degrees, because degrees is like the gold chain or the fancy car. Like, yo, I'm gonna be a third degree, or I'm gonna be a 33rd degree. Or people go outside of what we know as traditional masonry into other systems and be like, yeah, I'm gonna be a 99 degree and all this other crazy stuff. And it's not really about the degrees, because you can get degrees and still not know the information. Because most people that are third degree masons or just master masons, so because there's so much to study, people get into the habit of only studying what's required to get to the next level. so like the trivium and the quadrivium is required study, but most people only study enough that if they question, they can respond to the questions that they ask to pass but they don't actually study geometry, astronomy, music. They're not studying those things. You know what I'm saying? Like, but those things are required fields of study. Every Mason is required to study grammar, logic, rhetoric, all these things is required. Arithmetic, and knowing the difference between arithmetic and geometry or this, like you required to learn that stuff because you're required to teach that stuff. You're required to be an example of those things. You can't be an example of something you don't understand. So, I think that it's more about the process of becoming. Long story short, you learn in Masonry after a while. It's not really about the degree or the title. It's just about the journey. And so, if you get into studying, whatever it is your culture is, because we're coming from an Afrocentric thing, trying to tap back into that. But there are people who have melted down in the melting pot, and their roots may go back to Ireland or Mexico or South America or wherever it is, or maybe right here before colonization. And so I think all of those journeys are important because the more you learn about your ancestors, the more you learn about yourself. And, we have to tap into that. Like, I was having a conversation earlier and we was talking about Kemet, and I don't know how we got onto Narma, but, one of the most profound things about Narma that most people don't understand, like when they look at that stele, or even Narma himself, is the catfish. That's one of the most important things in Kemet. That's also been hidden. Like there's things that have been hidden because Kemet is the foundation of bioelectricity. The catfish that Narma is named after is the symbol of bioelectricity. The Nile River is a source of life because it was a source of bioelectricity. Kemet is the first place on record using bioelectricity in a medical capacity to treat illnesses and diseases. Well, you don't start to treat illnesses or problems or arthritis or whatever it is unless you understand that this is an intrinsic aspect of the body. So there's the more you learn about your ancestors, the more you learn about, right? So we go back to a conversation on bioelectricity from 5,000 years ago. That speeds us right into the conversation we was just having a little while ago about, mitochondria and pigment. We're talking about bioelectricity today. That's still cutting edge science. And, so it's definitely important that everybody goes on those self-exploration journeys, because the more you learn about your past, the more you learn about your future. And, just don't get lost in the fake, the fronting, you know what I'm saying?
The bullshit.
Yeah.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much for that, bro. I definitely appreciate that, man. And if it's any way we could have some bills on that with our tribe, or connect the tribes and have some group conversations or things like that, I could be reached through A1 if that, you know what I'm saying? If you open to that as well, and I'll land the plane in, I'll continue to chat.
Yeah, I'll definitely pull up to your platform, or y'all could tap into Jed School or both. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Indeed.
I got the link shared.
That's why I got the books on Amazon.
Yeah, we're gonna have to get you back to promote your books.
Yeah,
that's something I definitely want to do. You're gonna have to drop the link so I can go ahead and order a copy. And the link is in the chat. It is on the screen as well. YouTube.com/Dr. Enqi at Dr. Enqi. And that will take you to his Jet School site. I was just
A1, good job, man. You're doing great, bro. I appreciate you, bro.
Appreciate you. King Hurt.
What's up? Hotep.
Hey,
Hotepistan.
You know it, beat it to me, man. I was trying to, brother. I was trying to get Saad to do to let us do another round with them Bamas, with the pseudo killers. We was killing them. We was killing them over the head last time. They was hating it. was two of them.
Yeah, he said the Bamas. That's crazy. Yo, that's nasty work. He called the Bamas.
Yeah.
Oh,
I caught you a while back. I tuned in a while back. And I want to make two comments and bring up the Paleozoic electric joint because you mentioned that. But the two comments I want to just quickly make is when you was talking about the vaccines. There's a new documentary. A documentary just came out last year called "The Inconvenient Study," and I'm not sure if you're familiar with that one yet, but they did a
Don't get the video flagged.
Huh?
Don't get the video flagged. I know.
No, I'm just mentioning it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna.
I'm familiar. I'm hip.
Oh, you're okay. Good. So everybody, y'all suggest y'all check out the Inconvenient Study because it's the first time ever that they did a study on people who are vaccinated and unvaccinated. You know what I'm saying? So that's the first time ever. So the second part I want to just bring up is the melanin joint. And I remember as a teenager, my dad had that book. I forgot the name of it. I think it was called like Melanin Keys or Keys of the Melanin or something like that.
Hold on. All right, let me just do this. Let me shout out the melanin gods, the melanin gods.
The masters of melanin.
Masters of the OGs. You gotta go Richard King.
Yes.
You gotta go Carol Barnes, and you gotta go T. Owens Moore. And I think the book that your pops had was T. Owens Moore book. It was my favorite of that series back in the days. But Jazzy Melanin is a dope storybook. You should get that. But if you could find that book somewhere, it's good for children. It's because it's in the story form, like old school, like griot style. But yeah, I think you're talking about. It was the book Yellow.
Yeah, I think that's the Richard King joint, right?
No, that's T. Owens Moore. That Yellow. Okay. T. Owens Moore. Yeah.
It was
an honorable mention to Dr. Africa. He was one of them, but he wasn't with that group. He came after them, but he was honorable mention to Dr. Africa as well. But go ahead, brother.
Yeah, so the one nowadays, you know what I'm saying, a lot of our people try to bash on that type of science, that research that they did. But you know what? One person I don't hear them bashing on is Amos Wilson. Now I don't know if people y'all familiar. I know everybody know Amos Wilson, but his book on the psychological development of the Black child. In it, he talks extensively how back in the 50s and I think 1940s that white people would go to Africa and do their research and note how Black children develop faster, quicker, walk, talk, recognize spatial depth quicker than any other child on the planet. And they never draw the conclusion it had to come down to the melanin, but nobody ever said it. But
that's because that's not really disputable information. Like our senses all work through our pigment. You know, obviously our neurons and nerves and other, we have crystals in our ears and stuff like that are also a part of that. But our pigment plays a defining role in all of our senses, whether it's touch, taste, hearing or seeing. So definitely your density and quality and type of pigment you have plays a crucial role. And no two people have the same depth of hearing or seeing, color range, color palette, taste. All of those things are different just at the start of life as babies. And then you can train your senses and make them even sharper from whatever you've been blessed with from God. But there's it's even deeper than that, because back in Kemet, it was more than just 5 senses. So nowadays we do 5 senses, but back then it was more than 5 senses. And we're going to go make that another full circle as well, because science is demonstrating that we have more than 5 senses now. Like, everybody doesn't have the ability to see a picture in their mind. So everybody can't form an image in their mind. So that means that is a sense. That's not something that's intrinsic to all humans, right? So like if I say picture a red apple in your mind, everybody doesn't have the ability to do that. Some people can do that. Some people see a black and white image. Some people don't see an image at all. They know what an apple looks like, but they can't picture one in their mind. Everybody doesn't have the ability to dream. Mm-hmm. We have a lot of conversations about lucid dreaming, but some people don't dream at all, right? Let alone lucid dream in color. So that's another sense. Everybody doesn't have the ability to feel music, right? So everybody can hear sound, or if you can hear sound, but everybody doesn't have the ability to feel music. Like a lot of us, we can hear our favorite song and immediately get goosebumps. And then those senses can go like this and come together to where we could hear a song and automatically transport ourselves back in time and start to visualize things of when we first heard that song and who we was with and all that. We could see all that in our mind just from hearing the song, because it'll bring our memory to us. Well, some people can't see in their mind, and some people can't feel music. Some people don't have the ability to get goosebumps or the hairs on their neck. Like, and I try to talk about these things as often as possible because, you know, a lot of people are not aware of what these things are. So people don't really understand how profound the statement "health is wealth" is. They don't really understand the gifts that we've been given from our creator, or what true value is. You know what I'm saying? So
right. And I guess the last thing I want to bring up is the piezoelectric joint that you had talked about. In fact, I'm gonna tie it in with the comment the brother Cosmo put a comment
real quick before you get into that, King Herc. I'm gonna let you get into that. We have a super chat. Nisha said, when the conversation is dope, it makes the argument fall by the wayside. This is an excellent show. I appreciate the knowledge. Peace to you, Sister Nisha. Appreciate you.
Yeah, but hey, listen, I appreciate Sister Nisha. I definitely want to do the piezoelectric joint, but I got to get out the way, man. My man Yara getting ready to come up here and do his thing. You know what I'm saying? So
Yara actually rescheduled about 5:30. He said he had something to take care of. He's going to be here tomorrow, same time.
We got a few more minutes in. Yeah.
We can take our time. No rush up out of here.
Yara.
That's crazy.
Yep, Yara will be here tomorrow, 7 p.m. Don't miss it. And real quick, go to a word from our sponsors before we get back to King Herc. And here's the tournament that brought this all together. If you're not subscribed over here at Titans Debate League, get your butts over here.
These are not just speakers. These are thinkers, forged in fire. Warriors of words stepping into destiny. Welcome to the Coliseum of arguments, where logic clashes with conviction and ideas spill like blood in the sand. 16 titans, 16 minds, one path to immortality. They come seeking truth, they fight for redemption, they burn for revenge. Featuring the intellectual elite of the Titans Debate League. Every round a new war, every word a new weapon. Every titan ready to fall or rise in glory. This is not debate, this is combat. Step into the Coliseum of arguments. Only the brave speak here. Are you not entertained?
Actually, I'm not entertained since you asked the question. And I'm trying to figure out how y'all let my man Anu Kakarot lose in the first round. Like that's.
And I'm trying to get in touch with him, tell him you was asking about him, but he ain't got no motion back there on the Facebook page and stuff. But I'm gonna definitely make sure that you brought him up.
Because I think the way y'all judged it, y'all must have miscounted the votes and all that. Y'all,
man, he was horrible, man. I whooped him, bro. He went up against me. It wasn't his fault, man. It wasn't his fault, man. He just, ran into.
All right, well then, if he went up against you, Suave, then I gotta eat that. That's
And maybe we can get you as a special guest judge on a few of these debates coming
No doubt.
soon.
I wouldn't mind popping in. Sure.
That would be dope. That would be
Go
dope.
ahead, Herc. I do got 2 small questions, but I know it's on Herc. Go ahead, God.
King Herc, it's on you.
Yeah. The Paleozoic joke. I'm gonna tie it into the comment that brother Cosmon asked as well. He asked a question on it. Because for me, as my background, since having a background in mathematics, I consider myself an Amos Wilsonist. Amos Wilson used to always say, when you take them classes at these universities, you need to look at it from a black perspective, a black point of view, and start asking the question, how does this help black people, or how does it harm black people, stuff like that, and stuff. And so when I was always in my classes, I always just I would look at stuff, and I would I would wonder, can this apply to this? And for me, so I look at it and I could see the topological invariance that they created for the Giza Plateau. And that's because I'm looking at it from a topological point of view. And so I understand the mathematics that went into it. And so when you brought up the piezoelectric joint, I was like, oh, wait a minute, I was wondering, do you see as well the piezoelectric ability or applications that they had at that time? And so brother that's my question. Could you see that? And brother Kaz asked, could you speak on you spoke on the piezoelectric in the bones in the body? Is the body electromagnetic? Can you explain the source of the positive, negative charge in the body? That's what he asked. So I was just saying, could you see an application of the piezoelectric that they had at the time?
Let me try to write that down, because my man said I got one more question. That's like 17 more questions. Hold on, let me get that. So piezoelectric, and you piezoelectric, like what, in the pyramid?
Yeah. Do you see an application? Because for me, I don't want to say, what I see. I'm gonna say it anyway, but I just wanted to see what did you come up with? And that's what I asked. Okay, and then there's a comment in the question as well about it, if you want to.
Hold up. You trying to get me to go into the supreme wisdom lessons and all that? Hold up.
Let me find that comment too.
Positive and negative source. All right, so that's not that many questions. I'm exaggerating, but that's you asked for applicant. Go ahead. What you saying?
No, I'm saying brother Cosmo asked that question about the positive and negative charge in the body.
Okay, yeah.
He said, can you explain that?
No doubt. So with piezoelectric in Kemet, right? So in Kemet, they just so advanced, man. And then you got to deal with so many years of, the theft and the robbery, and so there's speculation. There's things that we can speculate on, and there's still some stuff now that we can, still speculate. We that's masonry, operative and speculative. You know what I'm saying? So we can speculate on because they had a material in Kemet called faience, right? And so faience is made out of semiconductor material, right? So that opens up a whole rabbit hole on what did they know about what the material was that they were using. And the funny thing is, everybody down regulated. Oh, they didn't know what they were using. They stumbled onto that. I was like, okay. So they're the first people to use it, and they were like so there's that. You have faience. You also have Kemetic blue, also known as Egyptian blue, which is a space that is not necessarily piezoelectric space, but it's adjacent. But then when you're speaking directly to piezoelectricity, the material that the pyramid is made out of is piezoelectric. So that opens up an exhaustive list of possibilities, especially with the new, infrared tunnels or cities or whatever is supposed to be under there, and so there's a plethora of potential applications that they were doing, you know what I'm saying, that we could just speculate on. In terms of what we can do with piezoelectricity, I would just kind of leave that up to each person. But for the people way in the back that may not know what we're talking about, piezoelectricity is basically, to simplify it, is converting sound into electricity. That's what piezoelectricity is. It's material that's able to take pressure, and turn that pressure into electric signals. So any sort of pressure waves, and you have basically two types of waves. You have electromagnetic waves, and then you have mechanical waves. Mechanical waves would be more in the space of acoustic or pressure waves. And so there's a zillion different applications. You know what I'm saying? Like it's limitless, on what we can do. I think what's important for us to understand is that our ancestors were already playing with that stuff, and to get our babies interested in those studies, because once you get the mind to going, it goes in, so you'll get, for instance, we got a lot of people, our babies, our young men, they want to be in the NBA, right? So offhand, and somebody will do this and won't give me no money, but here's a book, and that's why I don't like to throw out potential patents and inventions. You know what I'm saying? But you could have piezoelectric sneaker soles. That would be amazing, because piezoelectric sneaker sole would convert the pressure of running and jumping into electric signals that your feet can take in, because your feet are designed to take in those type of signals, and convert them into antioxidant type of activity, especially through your lymphatic system, which is the reason why you had a whole movement for grounding or screwing in, which is going barefoot on the earth and blah, blah, blah. So there's a lot of applications for, like I said, that we could tap into, but each person would, their mind is geared towards whatever they're interested in or passionate about. They would make inventions to innovate that particular space. You know what I'm saying? So that's just something right there for a young basketball player. Now, in terms of the body being electromagnetic, that brings us back to spirituality. You know what I'm saying? That's what spirituality is. And so the initiation of electromagnetic activity in the body starts with the breath, right? So the blood is iron based, right? So you immediately have, a rabbit hole to go into of study in terms of the iron in the blood. And early blood studies and heart studies would tell you that the magnetic material in the body was not active because it was too small, whatever. But now we know totally different. We know that the blood is magnetic. We know that the heart is magnetic. We have a series of books on it, in terms of redesigning our understanding of blood flow, right? Your heart is the strongest magnetic, it emits the strongest magnetic field in the body. And when blood is oxygenized, it becomes diamagnetic. Diamagnetic means that it is repelled by magnetic fields. So when you get oxygen to the blood, that helps or maybe even initiates the blood shooting away from the heart, because the heart is a strong magnetic field. So diamagnetic material is going to be ejected from a magnetic field. When blood delivers its oxygen, it becomes paramagnetic, and paramagnetic material is drawn to a magnetic field. So again, once the blood delivers its oxygen, it is now drawn back to the heart, which is the strongest magnetic field in the body, which answers the riddle, because people that understands, um, they know that you have 60,000 miles of blood vessels, and the heart pumping, no matter how strong it is, it just never totally satisfied the how to blood movement. But anyway, that's a part of the body being magnetic. Your blood carries iron, and that's what allows your body to even be able to bring the oxygen in. Is the iron in the blood. So there's magnetism right there in its best self, in its purest form. But I would say the space where a person can walk away from this conversation outside of my books and open up the rabbit hole is where they have actually been teaching the positive and the negative of electromagnetism in biology and biochemistry for decades, and that's under the title of redox. So, redox is a term used to teach the electromagnetism in the human body without actually saying electromagnetism, right? Because when you get deeper into it, you have your redox, which is reduction and oxidation. And reduction and oxidation, in a very simplified way, can be broken down into your positive and negative, which is the thing that kind of makes hydrogen so special, which is why our sun, stars are primarily, or young stars anyway, like our sun, is primarily hydrogen. And we use hydrogen for energy. That's the whole purpose of eating and breaking down, metabolism, is because we're going to take the hydrogen atom and we're going to break the hydrogen atom in half. And we're going to circle the electrons. They're going to go through the electron transport chain. And the protons are going to go from the inner matrix to the outer matrix and then cycle back through ATP synthase to recycle ATP. And then at complex 4, the electrons and the protons will be reformed by oxygen back into hydrogen and form brand new pure water molecules. So every day, every moment, every second, we're breaking hydrogen atoms down and putting them back together again inside our mitochondria. That's how our bodies produce energy, just like the sun. So that's your positive and negative right there. Now, you can go into other pockets with it because you have an electron transport chain, which means you have a flow of electrons, you have electricity. Anytime you have a moving electric field, that moving electric field is going to generate a magnetic field. Anytime you have a moving magnetic field around a conductor, you're going to generate electric current. Anytime you have alternating electric fields and magnetic fields, you're going to generate light. So you always have electricity, magnetism, electric fields, magnetic fields, and the production of light in every area of a living human body at all times. So, yeah.
That's hard, man. Shout out to Team Naga, man. I know they was here for this, man. Y'all missed out on this one. But I just wanted to ask you transhumanism, pros and cons. Because I feel ultimately, because I believe white supremacy still exists, right? I believe that
Of
technology,
course.
exactly, and so technology is, leading in the direction that it is being funded, and I believe that due to an irregulation of relationship to the earth, people are starting to depend on artificial intelligence more than biological intelligence. because biological intelligence is a lot less comfortable. And so I'm thinking ultimately the thing is to, and I know you said that you don't look at the body as a vessel that holds the spirit, but like that light that animates your body, that I feel like we truly are. We are our flesh, but we come and leave from flesh. That's just life.
Well,
And
the flesh, in my studies, the flesh is creating the spirit through the process of respiration or inspiration. So that's why Kemet has it on its walls in the fertility clinics. And that's why the Bible has Genesis chapter 2, verse 7. They're kind of saying the same thing. So I'm not necessarily totally in disagreement, like that is not founded in reality. It's just a slightly different perspective on it. Like the spirit is not something like, because, you know, on the internet, it's a big universe and people teach all kinds of stuff. And so I know that the chakras is gobbledygook. And I know that people who teach chakras as real stuff use ideas like the spirit and the body is different. I know that people that teach, you know, that people that teach body dysmorphia, right? And I'm not a big proponent of body dysmorphia. You know, they teach that spirit and body is different. So you could have a spirit that's in the wrong body. Like you could have, you know, and so you get into those conversations where, oh, well, you know, I accidentally got a man spirit in my woman body, or I got a woman spirit in my man body, because, you know, spirit and body is separate. And so for a lot of different reasons, I just try to I try to be super specific when I talk about that, you know, spirit in the body kind of thing. So, but, you know, I feel like, you know, based on everything I've learned over the years and what our ancestors are saying, is that you definitely have, you know, energy cannot be created or destroyed.
yes,
So
only transfer.
right. So there's definitely a essence that is that can go on, that can possibly go on post flesh,
And that pre-existed the flesh. Okay, that's where it's at. Because yeah, you're saying that the body is creating it. What I'm saying is that the body harnesses the energy.
Well, yes, the energy definitely exists, but I'm not sure that the energy exists in the form of what we would consider consciousness, which also has our personal traits and personality.
No, I would agree that the true energy doesn't. It steps outside of that also.
Right.
That leaves with the flesh. Separates with the flesh.
Yeah.
Personality and preference, sense of humor, logic, all of that leaves. It's complete obedience when it comes to energy. Right. We have the freedom to think and be wrong. Energy don't do wrong. So it's like, okay, yeah, I can get that. But ultimately, I feel like transhumanism in the wrong hands is leading to artificial bodies being able to harness that energy and not allowing you to die. You will be in a maintainable, updatable body, and you will be someone's sex robot that they send in the grocery store to shop for them. Not in control, but conscious. But they're making these bodies trying to complete artificial life. Yeah, they're trying to get artificial life, but life can't be artificialized. It's only one life, right? That energy. But if they could harness that energy that jumps into a woman at the time when that baby gets a soul or a spirit or however you want that energy, that's doomed for me. So transhumanism pros and cons, with that being my concern.
Man, that yeah. So all right, so I would have to separate out some of those things and address them like individually, because I feel like you put, that's a lot right there. Transhumanism, that's like boom. So transhumanism is a thing, but transhumanism has been a thing. Not being able to die, right? We both just agreed that energy can't be created or destroyed.
Yeah.
Our ancestors, especially going back to Kemet, in Kemet, they taught that there's no such thing as death in the West. Our concept of death didn't exist back then.
Our concept of death, we have already been that. You were
Right.
the same thing after your flesh doesn't exist that you was before it existed. That same state. So
well, American or Western idea of death is just, like you turn off your laptop, it's just done. You know what I'm saying? So, those things are different. You know what I'm saying? I think image and likeness. I think image and likeness has, there's going to be new battles and new conversations and about copyrights and trademarks and what it means to own someone's image and likeness. The people are not going to be able to hide the true value of image and likeness any longer. It's going to come to the forefront, and we're going to start to realize, maybe what has drove some of our artists back in the days to drugs and even maybe, offing themselves because they realize what they sign. And sometimes we, in the conspiracy theory space, we like, oh, well, Illuminati, they had to sold their soul. And because they sold their soul, that means they took it in the butt, or they must have, they must have blew a pipe, or, they doing a homosexual sexual act to sell out to get to the, like, no, that's so stupid. If a homosexual if a homosexual sex act was what led you to millions of dollars, there would literally be no broke gay people. Like, and what would selling out look like for a gay person? Like that wouldn't even be selling out. That'd just be like a fright. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that don't even make sense. But somebody owning your image and likeness, that is a conversation that, we kind of touch on in a couple of our books. We talk about it a little bit in the new book, One God. But it's really having to understand the conversation about slaves and free labor and that conversation. So that's what that is. You know what I'm saying? Like, we got to get into that whole conversation, because if we look at wealth, at least the past 5,000 years, wealth has always followed sugar and diabetes. From the time where Kemet had the wealth to the time where the Arabs got into it, to the Europeans, to America, like whoever's controlling the sugar and the diseases associated with sugar usually has the wealth. You know what I'm saying? And all of the things associated with it, like Dutch East India Company was able to not necessarily engage so much so in the actual trade or in the actual sugar plantations, but they controlled the trade and the movement of things. And so that's where you kind of get into a Moorish conversation. And I think that most of the people trying to teach the Moorish paradigm, they get lost in the information because it's one dimensional. They can only tell you like history, but they can't really back it up in terms of finance and biology. So they hit a glass ceiling. But, understanding the Moorish Navy, the Moorish Navy and the rise of the Portuguese Navy and the British Navy, understanding navies is very important to the same conversation, because you controlling wealth and wealth, especially fiat currency. It's only as good as the people you control, because that's where power is at. That's where value is at. So AI allows everybody to have slaves now. Everybody has a slave. That's what they're promoting. AI assistant. Get the AI to do it for you. Don't worry about it. Get the AI to do it for you. So for the first time in human history, wealth is getting ready to be uncoupled from health. So you're going to see a massive spike in cancers and metabolic disease, no matter how much people know, because people are going to be moving even less. It's going to be more sedentary lifestyle. If you think people already had a sedentary lifestyle, it's getting ready to get crazy, because even people who don't exercise, they still go to work. They still go to school. So there's a minimum amount of movement when you got to get up, wash up, minimum amount of hygiene. You got to wash up, at least put on a little DO for the BO, take the train or the bus or drive to work, whatever, sit through your. That's a minimum amount of movement and hygiene that people will not have to engage in as the world moves to AI, because your whole world going to be right on the laptop. So you could just wake up and turn on your laptop. You ain't even got to put on no clothes. You ain't got to wash your body. You ain't got to change it. You ain't got to move. You're going to be right there. And so your lymphatic system is going to suffer. Your collagen, all of the collagen throughout the body is going to slowly freeze. It's going to get crazy. But I'm a person that believes in AI. I'm not like against AI. I like AI. I think AI is amazing. I just think that AI is a tool that can cripple people, and it's crippling most people, because most people don't really understand that AI is something that you can use. You're supposed to use it to work. You're supposed to use AI to enhance what you're doing, not like give what last bit of humanity away to AI that you got. But AI is not the monster. Humans are the monsters, because the process that we're seeing with AI already started back when we had calculators. If you at home right now and you open up another screen and you type in, what was the first computer? The first computers were actual people. Computers weren't electronic or mechanical. A computer was like an accountant. A computer was somebody who computed numbers. And it was primarily a woman-driven industry. That industry got replaced, with calculators. And then, as calculators became more popular, people started to rely on the machines to count for them. So it began with numbers, and people became enumerant. Most people are not even familiar with the word enumerant. Enumerant is the word that means the same thing in terms of numbers as illiterate does in terms of words. So if you read, if you can't read, you're illiterate. If you can't count, you're enumerant. Most people have been becoming enumerant for a long time, to the point where it's commonplace that you go to a store, the person don't know how to give you back your change without the machine counting up the change. If it's $47.35, they need the machine to calculate, oh, he supposed to get $2 and whatever. Like they can't, So we already started back then with giving the machines the responsibility to count for us. Then we moved from there and we gave the phone, well, even before phones, because at first we had phones, but the phones wasn't that deep. So we still had to have a planner and a phone. So we started letting the planners remember dates, times, phone numbers for us.
Write for us.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. So we stopped remembering. So first we stopped counting. Then we stopped remembering. Then we start going voice to speech. So now the computers start writing for us. And so, the AI is just the last one to where people believe that the AI can. And before we even get to the AI, people start getting audio books. Like, yo, Doc, yo.
So now you can't count, you can't write, you can't read.
That's right. You want the machine to read to you. Like grown adults, they looking for audio books because they don't want to read the book. They want the machine to read the book to them like a bedtime story. Like, yo, Doc, when you gonna make more audio books? Never, because you need to read the book. A part of the information that you're getting is not even in the information. It's in the act of the reading. You know what I'm saying? And the way your brain is developed, when you stop using areas of your brain, those areas atrophy.
They recess.
Yeah. So as we stop counting, we stop remembering, we
you
stop
don't use it,
writing, we stop. Yeah. And then our ability to recognize patterns, which is the true definition of genius. You know, when they created these IQ tests and SATs and all these other fake tests to measure genius, those were for the caste and class system, not necessarily true genius. True genius is about recognizing patterns, creating patterns, recognizing and creating patterns. But we lose those abilities as we stop using the brain. So it's us though. You know, we getting soft. Like we outsourcing. We're voluntarily outsourcing what it is that makes us human to the machine.
Yeah, creativity.
We're giving our power to the machine.
Right. That's
You
what threatens the AI paradigm,
so,
creativity.
so it's not like
original thought.
It's like, you know, like tapping our pockets or putting us in a sleeper chokehold, taking it from us. We're giving it away, sucker style. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you know, I can't really fault the AI. You know what I'm saying? Like, because if we hit AI, makes it much easier for us to learn things a lot faster. But a big problem that we had, and this problem goes back thousands of years, is we lost the culture of being students, especially Black folks. If a Black man is ashamed of being called a student, so they don't want to be seen as nobody's student. I'm the teacher. What you talking about? I'm not your, you know, like, so we automatically feel away. So we don't want to be seen as students. And the thing is, if we don't want to be seen as students, then it's not possible for us to be seen as a teacher. Because in order for you to be able to teach for an ongoing period of time, you have to continuously be studying. You know what I'm saying? Because the moment that you teach your students whatever it is, you know, they your equals. Now that's it. What else you got? So in order to stay a teacher, you have to stay studying. You have to stay in student mode yourself, in order to constantly have something to share with people of value. So, and then you have the biological part of it, right? So it's a whole bunch of different things we got going on. The best example to talk about the biological side is the heart, because these conversations we have didn't start with us, right? And so if we go back 100 years, if we go back to the early 1900s and we look at some of the books and the comic books and the novels and the stories from that era, they was already talking about, you know, Illuminati and transhumanism.
It wasn't even a secret.
Right. They was already. And so you had people back then, the same way we got people right now lying to themselves. Right? They lying to themselves now like they lied to themselves then. It was like, yeah, and I ain't putting none of that stuff in my body. You crazy? I ain't no, this the Illuminati. Guess what? When they get that heart attack or that high blood pressure, and they're like, listen, the only way we could save you is if we put this stent in your heart, or we put this artificial pump in your heart, or we put these new artificial valves in your heart. Sign me up. Sign me up. They automatically went to me, and my mom's be having these conversations because I be telling my mom, I'm like, Mom, you cyborged already. You got fake everything. You got, you know, people get fake hips, knees, shoulders like it's nothing. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like,
Even Elon Musk said it publicly on TV, called everybody cyborgs.
Yeah, they already, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, you got fake eyes and like it's So when it comes to the brain thing now, everybody looking at the brain thing like, oh, I ain't putting no microchip in my brain because, you know, 666 is the mark of the beast. No, 666 is the mark of carbon. 6 protons,
electrons, neutrons.
So that right there is a whole nother thing. It's talking about what you learn or you don't learn. It's talking about the information that's in your mind.
Right. That's
You know
my understanding of the beast.
Right, because a mark is a symbol. And the symbol is it represents a body of information. So everybody running around now saying that they're not putting the chip in their brain and all this and all that. Once they get, and health has already, we already see the trends. People now are more conscious of exercising. So the big problem now is the body is healthier than the brain. How do we know the body's healthier than the brain? Because people are losing their mind to dementia, Alzheimer's, and Parkinson's. Meaning Otherwise, their body is fine, but the brain is going. So once they get the technology, just like the heart, to be like, hey, Parkinson's setting in, you losing your mind, but we can just go ahead and put this chip in there and you got at least another 20 years.
Sign me up.
Sign me up. Sign me up. So, there's aspects of the transhumanism that's like, on one part it's nefarious, it's crazy.
Right.
Think of potential, like who controls that Wi-Fi?
Right. Facts.
Who control that Wi-Fi that's connected to Neuralink or connected to the heart pacemaker?
Facts.
There's a life-saving side to it, and then there's a part of self-accountability, because I tell people all the time in the health space, most people that I come in contact with that's anti-hospital, anti-doctor, anti-medicine, they really just full of shit. And the reason why is because they not really aggressively studying naturopathy. They're not really aggressively exercising. They're not really aggressively getting herbs and supplements and prioritizing, putting their time and their money into avoiding the need for a hospital and a doctor.
Yeah.
What they're doing instead is just talking reckless on the internet. Meanwhile, they overweight with high blood pressure. They got a fat pack of cigarettes.
Especially black men. They say we don't go to the hospital till we die.
And listen, I'm down with I'm not with the hospital, blah, blah, blah. If you're coupling that with I'm working as hard as possible to make sure I'm living as healthy as possible. But if you just eating Franks and sausages and chips, whatever, and you just talk about you ain't going to the doctor, or you on the clock, champ.
Yeah,
you just on the clock. Ain't gonna stop. And hopefully, when your heart does stop or your brain stops working, hopefully you don't feel like you got your life stolen away from you, because you didn't get it stolen away from you. You gave it away.
It was partner.
If you're not actively taking care of your body and stuff like that, then you do need some doctors. You need some
inevitable.
You need some pills. You need some patch ups. You need some patchwork. You might need a chip here and there.
Right. You become right. You be akin to the scientific project, right?
And that's how deep it gets. It's just like today, how we accept getting a pill for depression. Imagine getting a program for depression, being neurologically linked, and they're able to say, oh, you've been feeling depressed. Well, here's the program, and you're happy.
Well, hold on. Let me say this. Let me take that a step further. We're already, that's the same thing. It's just that we don't recognize the pill as a program.
But
the pill is a program, because the pill is going to modulate, like if we're talking about mental health, the pill is going to modulate, serotonin, dopamine, or norepinephrine. And once it changes the behavior of one of those, it's going to change the ability of how you think and how you remember, because dopamine and norepinephrine is what turns into neuromelanin. And neuromelanin is the processing and memory and all that stuff. So you can't change one thing without changing other things. So you're already affecting programming with the pill. You know what I'm saying? It's just we don't recognize the fact that when we understand our body as electric, it's not much different than a computer. It's not much different than a laptop. The only thing really different is what the unit is made out of. We don't really recognize the flesh when we look at a laptop or a computer or something like that, because it's hard and it's cold. But everything that's required for your laptop to work is required for your body to work. Everything.
And we have spirit, though. The machine don't have spirit, though.
The machine doesn't have, well, it depends. See, here's the thing.
And soul and so forth.
Most people don't agree on the definition of what soul and spirit is.
Yeah.
So even before you can have a debate or discussion on whether computers have spirit or soul or not, you'd have to come to an agreement on what those terms mean.
They simply don't.
If we find out that a soul is just a program,
They need
Yeah,
to jar, man.
computers have those. But
Yes.
let me ask you this. Okay, conscious community.
Yeah.
Okay. You were very prominent in the conscious community. Me, myself, may be very ignorant on the state of the conscious community.
Yeah.
But to me, it's like gone. With the arrest of Michael North Jr., with the fall off of Pharaoh, with the like that new wave of people who was fenced to take over and continue on. Now we have brothers like you, brothers like Unc, the brothers that was here. What is the state of the conscious community right now, and what do you see the future of the conscious community if it exists?
It is in trouble. If you include Unc in the same space with me, we in trouble.
We in trouble, bro. We are in trouble. Okay. Because it could have got nasty. I had some names, but I was like, I want that.
Unc don't know what he talking about. Listen, this is what Unc do. Unc, when you come on there and you talking with Unc, you are introduced because they got a new guy over there, and I just haven't had a chance to. We haven't bumped into each other yet on a platform yet, but I'm looking forward to the conversation. His name is God Energy, or something.
Yeah.
And they running that boy. Unc is running that boy in circles.
Uncle's a fan.
That kid got some new sharp information. And Unc does people's research a disservice because he pretends like he knows what you're talking about. And it's so easy to see when somebody don't know what they're talking about because there's a digital footprint. And if you've been on the internet for 10 years and we could look at your content and see you have never discussed this ever before in your whole history, you got to stop pretending like you know what somebody's saying. You got to just let them shine in that moment and have their moment and their specialty and do their thing. You know what I'm saying? Like,
facts.
When you talking, what these guys do is quickly look it up real quick because now we do have AI. So before AI, though, they was using just plain Google, but they'll look it up real quick and then come back on and try to argue with you about it. And what happens is when somebody argues, for the audience that's watching that's not into the information, because most people that watch the debate stuff, they watch for entertainment, not education.
Right.
It makes it seem like you're on equal with the information with the person you arguing with, because y'all both going back and forth. And the person watching, they never heard of none of this shit, but they know they never heard it. So it seems like, but Unc don't know 90% of what he be talking about. Unc is a very good conversation. You know,
and they don't use AI because AI goes against everything that they say. He likes to use Wikipedia.
Well, listen, don't hate on Wiki. Don't hate on Wiki. Listen, it's
Wiki.
user error. Listen, I'll just say the tools are good, but it's a lot of user error. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times, if you're a novice trying to use something, you always are going to make more mistakes than somebody who's polished that's using the same thing. So a person that's polished and they talking about something they've been studying for a long time, they could use Wiki, they could use a book, they could use anything. It's going to make good sense because they're really familiar with what it is that they're talking about. A person that's just slapping it together, you could highlight the pages and put it in their hand and it ain't gonna, you know what I'm saying? Because they just not familiar. That's why they're gonna mess up the words, and you can't mess up words that you familiar with because you're messing it up because you're not familiar with the vocabulary. You're not so
Same thing with Cedric. Same argument we had with Cedric that day when I was talking about the fourth dimension, and he gonna bring up the space-time fourth dimension like it's the same thing. And I'm trying to break it down to him like, yo, we're talking about two different concepts.
Totally two different. And here's the thing. Sometimes people, like I said, it's just not letting other people shine. Sometimes you got to just be quiet sometime and let a brother flow. Like, wait a minute.
Facts.
That fourth dimension? Oh, shit. Let me see where he go with that. I don't know what he talking about. Let me sit back. And so, like, even when I'm getting the questions early, I'm like, okay, well, what do you mean by this? And what do you mean by that? Because I might not know what you're talking about. And that don't mean because I don't know that you are incorrect. It just means I'm not hip yet. I'm not educated on that yet. So I got to let you flow. You know what I'm saying? So I think that that gotta happen. You know what I'm saying? But you know, I think that size still doing good because I think it's difficult you know, and we, you know, we watched Sa fall out with everybody over the years, but I think what Sa is doing takes a unique type of personality, because I personally, I don't think that I could do what he's been able to do in terms of having a platform where only other people get to shine. Like on my platform, it's going to definitely have to be about me. You know? I can't have a platform where I just keep highlighting, you know, sauce, and then A1, and then I'm highlighting this one and that one, and I'm like, ho. Half of these shows gonna have to be about Dr. Enqi. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I think it takes a certain type of personality to just create a platform for people to come and either kill themselves or make themselves into somebody that's, you know what I'm saying? But here's the mic. Now be careful what you say on it, because you know the sharks and piranhas is in the water swimming, but here's the mic. You know what I'm saying?
Fact.
So, but yeah, so there's that, and then with Polite, well,
Hey, Polite.
Polite is, you know, Polite is doing his time. So, you know, there's that, you know what I'm saying? I was one of the most vocal people, you know, dancing on his grave, so to speak, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. But you know, he's doing his time now. So, you know,
he gets out in 2 to 3 years. What?
Not exactly. Florida's a little bit different. His sentence is up, but he may still have to go to another type of facility depending on how his time goes, because sex offenders or people with children abuse, you know, because he got the weird thing that he copped out to where it's not exactly this, but it's not exactly that. So he might have to go to
in law. Yeah.
He might have to go to another facility for some time or whatever. But Polite represents a type of person. You know what I'm saying? So if you notice, Polite was just the beginning. You know, Nature Boy got 40 years.
Yes.
Pharaoh escaped time by becoming a drug addict.
Owner mine just got caught masturbating on a fucking train in front of a minor. Yeah.
Like, yo, how do you get caught on a train? Like, what are you doing? You know what I'm saying? Like, and not what are you doing from a PDF perspective or anything, but what are you doing from a person that knows, like, you in
all
this
eyes on you.
You in this space. So even if you have that affliction, because that's an affliction, that's something that's in your mind you can't get out. Even if you have that affliction, how is you on the subway, champ? Like, that's a cry for help. You asking somewhere because you like, it's just no way. It's just no way. It's no way. Respect to whoever that girl was or whatever the case may be, but she wasn't that beautiful. So clearly that was a cry for help that he need to be put somewhere. You know what I'm saying? Because he's not, you know, he needs some treatment or something. He needs something. If not just to be locked away from everybody else, but he needs something, you know what I'm saying? But there was other people that, see, here's the thing. We know the examples, but we don't know the other people. Like, there was other people like Jamal something. There was another guy that he didn't get too big, but he got, you know, and there's other people that we will never hear of that were following the examples of some of these people that's also put away because they was, you know what I'm saying? So, but that didn't necessarily start in what we call the conscious community.
Of course not.
That started with York and some of the other people that came before the conscious community. It's just that the conscious community got a bad rap because from the outside looking in, right? People think that the conscious community is a thing, and the conscious community is really not a thing. The conscious community from the inside, if you know the conscious community is a whole bunch of different groups of people. You got Christians, you got Israelites, you got Muslims, you got folks. Like bro, school me at the beginning of the show that now the Afrocentric and the Kemetic might be
different thing. You got the Nubians, yeah.
So the conscious community is really a whole bunch of different groups of people. You got the Moors, this one, and then you got the difference between the Moors and the Washita. You know what I'm saying? Like,
it's mad different groups competing ideologically for what they believe is the best thing for Black, Spanish, and Native, indigenous, like they have a solution. I got a plan to help. I got a plan to help everybody. And so, yeah, listen to what I'm saying, damn it. You know what I'm saying? And so that's the essence of the conscious community. But, the old school guys, they had they had other stuff going on, you know what I'm saying? And because the conscious community became made up of different groups, some of the people that were students of some of those other teachings came in. That's why I'm very critical of all that chakra information, because the chakra information, first of all, is fake. But second of all, the chakra information is the mask that sexual deviancy wears in the conscious space.
And it's not over. And
so you have to watch. I mean, that's the red flag. That's the red flag right there. You got to watch that chakra, because soon as that shot, it may be innocent. It may be innocent, but
that brown chakra is not innocent.
Well, and then you got folks that done brung it in, and you got to watch certain individuals, because you go, wait a minute. Now, Yaki, you supposed to be teaching health information, but you on Tasha K channel talking about men having an anal G spot, and that the anal G spot is good for your health. So, first of all, that tells me that you don't know anything about anatomy, because there is no anal G spot. That's number one. Number two, that tells me you might just be looking to have a scientific justification for some chakra activation shit that you got going on. You know what I'm saying? So so that's what I'm saying. Like, it's all these ideas just kind of like, that's masked and grouped into conscious community, which makes it crazy, because most people running around in conscious community, if you stop and ask them, hey, define consciousness, they're like, well, consciousness is, being woke. I'm like, ooh, okay. I'm no longer part of the conscious community. Let me just get out of here. Let me just get up out of here. I'm out. I'm out. Don't put me in there, because woke got a whole lot of stuff going on with woke. It's a lot going on with woke that I'm not down for. I don't support. So it's just, it's a lot of stuff that gets thrown on the conscious community. And then it gets thrown on the personalities in the conscious community. And, Sanetta's a unique character who's had beef with everybody over the years, but there's a lot that he has to wear that he doesn't really have anything to do with, because he's looked at as the father of the conscious community. So once something happens, it's like, damn, Sa, look what you done did. You done, you know what I'm saying? So, it's, and some stuff Sa do be doing, you know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, Humble Man, shout out to Humble Man. I do want to respectfully just value the brother's time. I really do. I know Enqi be rocking out, man. I don't want to cut shit short, but out of respect, man, Humble, I want you to be able to engage with the brother. You understand what I'm saying, man? Do your thing.
Yeah, this is the last one. I gotta go because my baby is on me.
Most definitely. I ain't gonna be long.
Hold on. Before you go, we gotta appreciate Sa, because even over the years with all our differences, we wouldn't have all this stuff and all these other platforms if we didn't have Sa. You know what I'm saying? So we gotta show respect to Sa for that.
I'll argue with you about that.
Yes.
But yeah, respect.
And I was definitely saying that earlier. Sanetta paved the way for the platforms like the one that I created right now.
I'm still looking for Zion Lex.
No matter what, at the end of the day, homage got to be paid.
That's what I'm looking for. Yeah. Zion all the way in the clear, Zion. I don't know why you threw that out there and now you hiding, but I'll see you in the future. But yeah, respect, man.
Yeah, he said, I'm still looking for Zion. See, that's the beauty of the conscious community. We all walking around with a hit list. Like, yeah. And let me know if you see such and such and such. Tell him to pull up on my platform because he just said whoop, whoop, whoop. And I got the research. That's beautiful because, like we can't stop being who we are. It's in our DNA. It's in our DNA to research. It's in our ability. It's in our DNA and it's in our DNA to argue if we think your shit's suspect. You know what I'm saying? So, but anyway, let me finish.
And I would say, I would even go as far to say, man, y'all raised unknowingly, unconsciously, if I could use that word, y'all unconsciously raised dogs like myself, like my brother Ashe, like my brother God Energy, that's a part of the bomb squad you were speaking about earlier. Y'all raised us, and now y'all raised us up, and now we're at a level, if I could use the word awareness instead of consciousness, we're at a level of awareness that we know how to do our scholarship. We're in the age of information where we ain't slow or behind anything. Because we study y'all, we know what to look for, how to look for it, how to plan out arguments, how to, prevent. This is why me and the bomb squad, when we was over on side, the first thing he said, man, look, we gotta stop letting the bomb squad up, y'all running everybody's way. That's because, bro, we became battle ready by watching people battle all the time. The Dr. Enqis, the Polites, the Shakas, the of the world, the Jabari Ozazes. We watched y'all, and we took that energy, we took that passion, we took that love or that zeal for knowledge, and we like, I want to do this. It's better than dribbling the ball or shooting a gun or, doing what we do in the streets. I found y'all brothers was some amazing role models for brothers.
Y'all gonna be better than us. The generation behind us failed because we failed them. The generation behind us is the Nature Boys and the Pharaohs. You know what I'm saying? They got in and their thing was to, clicks and views.
Right.
Clicks and views, and that was the thing. And the idea is hopefully y'all generation coming behind them, you'll do it, based on what you're passionate about. So that way, if you have a channel that you only get 50 views, or if you have a channel that get 500,000 views, your information and research will still be, at a high level and fresh, and you'll still keep it popping because even if nobody's watching, you still doing the research for yourself because you love what you're doing.
I got one more thing, Dr. Enqi, and I'm gonna close out with you, brother. What's up with that debate that you had with Jabari, bro?
I beat the brakes off.
You better stop that, Enqi.
Listen, the thing that happened is, we saw something that we never saw before, and so, it's hard to wrap your mind around it. So each person got to deal with it however they deal with it. But we had a debate topic. Everybody, got the flyer. There was only one flyer for the debate. The debate had 2 questions on it. Very simple. When we get to the debate, there's 2 debaters. One debater addresses both questions. The other debater comes in with a whole nother question and whole nother topic and says, nah, this is what we really supposed to be talking about. Is Jesus a real person? Like, hold up. Is that on the flyer, brother? No, that's not on the flyer, but on the secret phone call, you agreed to the... I know, but on the flyer, brother, what is on the flyer? When people pay for the ticket and they got the email receipt for what they paid for, what does that mean? That also has those same 2 questions on there.
Right.
So he had to make in order to seem like he won a debate, he had to make it seem as if we were supposed to be having a different conversation. But really what that is about stale research. And Jabari had gotten so comfortable to the point where if you look back at Jabari's, last 10 or so debates, you will notice that Jabari just been reusing the same slides over and over and over and over again. And he's been getting over because, oh, I've got this many degrees or this, that. Like he's using other things. And so it really was just lazy scholarship. And so when he got in there with me, I purposely, you know, like, and you can hear it through the argument. Well, Enqi, you didn't want to just talk about Jesus, so we had to agree to Christ. Exactly. Because I know that for the last 15 debates, you've been having the same dumbass Jesus conversation. So I wasn't going to limit. And he kept saying, Enqi, but you a Christian. I'm like, no, I'm not a Christian, bro. Yes, you are a Christian. So he wanted to have a New Testament debate, and that's not what I teach. That's not, you know, like I go into the Bible, but I also go into the Old Testament. I go into to Kemet. You know, I'm in the walls of Glen. Like bro came in earlier to debate me a little bit on a little, you know, like I'm all over them space. So if I'm gonna have a debate with Jabari, who's a legendary name and figure. Why would I come in there with my hands tied behind my back and make a debate about a subject that's not even what I talk about or teach? Like if I'm gonna go in there with Jabari, we can throw it all on the table. So we can deal with that a little bit, but no, we got to modify that because Jesus is a person, Christ is a title. So let's have a conversation about the title Christ. Where was the title? The origin of that is a more of a conversation. Because the title Christ, before Jesus had the title, that title Christ was in the Old Testament. Before that title was in the Old Testament, it was in Kemet. But so there's a process with that, and that process has a lot to do with bioelectricity and a lot of different, you know, like, so there's a lot of different nuance factors that I wanted to bring into the convo that conversation allows me to do that a Jesus conversation doesn't.
Right.
We were going back and forth to decide a title. Jabari kept running from everything related to science, which is my expertise. And so the Christ conversation allows a bridge where I could bring in science, because when you talk about the opening of the mouth ceremony, the instrument that is performed the opening of the mouth ceremony with is iron. And iron in Kemet was viewed as a divine metal because it was magnetic.
Right.
So now we get a magnetic conversation. Now I get to bring in traveling waves and standing waves, and I get to talk some science shit and make it more reason for people to spend their hard-earned dollars instead of
that makes sense.
Ready to debate about some shit that literally is 1,000 debates already. Was Jesus a real person? Like, what is the Dr. Enqi version of the same conversation? No. We're gonna have a new conversation. So we could bring in some new facts, some new information. So even if we're wrong, we got new arguments, new rabbit holes, new areas of research, opening minds, stretching minds open. So yeah, Jabari had to, and then the crazy thing is, the same thing Jabari ran on me, he ran on some other dude named Tahuti. So I'm like, hold up, man.
I was watching.
It's the whole same play. You done ran on somebody else, and it can't work out forever.
Exactly.
Some of the people some of the time, but you can't fool all the people all the time. So what I did was I got side permission, and I ran the debate on my platform and a few other platforms. And, you know, outside of when people just get to watch the debate without hearing all of the tricky conversation about what question is this and this.
Yeah.
You get the title of the debate, they see the flyer, they watch all 3 rounds. Nobody thought Jabari on even close. But
hey man, you had me thinking you was about to sue Jabari for a minute, man. Jabari talking about them secret conversations. You like, yo, why you bringing them up, bro?
Because I know it's easy to try to like edit a clip or try to make it seem like we live in a world where, you know, like, so we had a contract, and it don't matter what we talked about. What we agreed to is on the flyer.
Right.
What we agreed to and what we sold to people, which is sometimes more important than even what we agreed to. What we sold to people is on the flyer. If it was supposed to be a different conversation, that conversation would have been what was on the flyer.
That makes sense.
And even if I said, and there's a whole nother aspect to it, even if you want to change the first question, right? Oh, okay. We wasn't supposed to be discussing Christ. We were supposed to be talking about Jesus or whatever the case. What happened to the second question? Because he didn't even have no slides for the second question.
That's a good point.
You didn't have no slides for the second question. I'm like, so hold up, we're debating this Jesus Christ. Was we supposed to be talking about Jesus? What about is Christ the Word? Because you don't have no slides in your presentation for that. And the fact that that question is there means that you're wrong about the first question. Because if our intention was to discuss Jesus and not Christ, why would the second question be, is Christ the Word? The fact that the second question is Christ the Word means that Christ was the focus of the debate. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I don't know.
Now that you put it out there, the way that you put it out there, it do sound less sketchy. But I ain't even gonna lie, Dr. Enqi, they was trying to make it seem like you was on some sketchy stuff, brother.
Of course, because listen, over the years, they have gotten comfortable with stealing my information, which is one of the reasons why now I have a way I do things. I don't talk about nothing until I already put out a book on it. Right. So that way there's no confusion about where the information came from. I'm published. I'm in the book. You can go purchase it. I have a date and a time when the book came out. So there's no discussion about who came up with this. I'm not going to mention it nowhere, not even on my platform, until I already released the book. Once I release the book, then I start discussing it. So what happens is I noticed the pattern with Enqi, like I was saying earlier, when you bring new information, they quickly Google and AI it real quick and make it seem like they know what you're talking about. So what I've developed is defense. I'm not getting ready to give you nothing. I'm not going to give you nothing. You got to demonstrate that you already know it, or you have to come clean and say you don't know it. Right. So like with the debate with Enqi about Charles Darwin, I made him admit that he never heard of pangenesis before. I made him admit that he didn't know that Charles Darwin had a partner that co-wrote the paper with him, and a co-author. Like, so I know these things, but who my opposition? What I look like if we in a gun battle and we shooting each other to try to kill each other, and I'm like, hey, you ran out of bullets? Let me know. I'm gonna throw you a few clips just in case you ran out of bullets. I'm gonna share a few extra. Like, what I look like? Like, that's crazy. Nah.
That's a fact.
If you sign up for a debate, then you better know everything on this information. You better know all the main topics, and you better know the peripheral information, or you're going to get beat. It's not, you're not getting to peruse my mind so that I could teach you, and then you could come back to me. No, I'm going to have all these video moments where I show that you have no idea what the hell you're talking about. So when it came to the Christ thing, the main thing that I wanted to show with Jabari in the preliminary joints was that his idea and what he has been teaching is not 100% authentic Kemetic science, because Jabari doesn't know science. So he can't teach any version of science, whether it's Kemetic or Western, American, European, African, because he doesn't know science. Jabari knows Kemetic rituals, and Jabari knows the metal nature. But Kemetic ritual is not Kemetic science. That is totally different things. When we say Kemetic science, if we reduce Kemetic science to rituals, that disrespects the whole Kemetic culture, because this is the group of people that gave us surgery. They gave us medicine. They gave us anatomy. So when we say science, we really mean science, not goop mixed up mythological fairy tales. We're talking about actual science. You know what I'm saying? So we gotta put some respect on our ancestors in that way, and not denigrate what they left us by changing it to what we want it to be.
I agree.
Jabari was embarrassed because I showed that where he got his degree in spiritual studies, that is anti-African, and it's based in theosophical teaching. That's the Madame Blavatsky.
Right.
So he was embarrassed that I pulled that out, that he's a student of some people that were students of Madame Blavatsky, and that's where he has a degree from.
I just want you to know really fast, Dr. Enqi, that name has been circling around a platform called Bigo ever since you brought that up.
Of course, listen, every time I come out with some info.
Now everybody following Madame Blavatsky.
Of course, because they realizing like, hold up, Enqi wasn't bullshit. Just wait a minute. And when Jabari, like, there's a point in us going back and forth on one of them preliminary videos where he's like, Enqi, why don't you tell everybody the name of Madame Blavatsky book if you know it? And I don't say nothing. People was mad, like, Enqi never answer questions. I'm like, because sometimes a part of the strategy is to get you to put your weapons on the table in advance so that the person could disarm you. And then by the time it's showtime, you can't slap them upside the head with it. I knew that the name of the book that he wanted me to say was ISIS Unveiled. But I also knew that it was more of a dagger against him because I knew what Madame Blavatsky unveiled ISIS as. Madame Blavatsky teaches that ISIS is a a transsexual, male female, and that Osiris is a male female, and that Horus is a male female.
Oh, stop, Dr. Enqi, really fast. This is very vital to what you're talking about right now. 2 days ago, a couple days ago, a couple shows, right? We've been having this guy by the name of Psychic. And this is literally the framing of mind state that Psychic says. When Psychic says, oh, I am under ISIS. And that's, bro, go ahead, brother. I just wanted to point that out.
But see, look, and so people get to pretend like they somehow a genius or they came with some new information from somewhere and razzle dazzle folks if you don't know where all these schools of thought come from. You know what I'm saying? So people get misdirected and they're like, oh, the Masons is doing this. No, it's not the Masons. It's these people that you already love and you think they your Kemetic scholars and your Black history. These guys is the ones teaching you this Beverly Randolph and what's the guy named the white guy Aleister Crowley, and they recycling all that stuff and package and putting black packaging on it and bringing it into the conscious community. And listen, if you want to study those things, it's nothing wrong with that. As long as you ain't hurting nobody, you're doing your own thing. But don't try to package it a different way, and then you tricking people, and then you wind up getting 40 years in jail for sex crimes because you done taught people to come follow you into the woods, and you're gonna activate their chakras and all this kind of foolishness. And then what are you doing? You know what I'm saying? So it's like gullible people following that. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, no, it don't fit together. You can't say you following Dr. Sebi, but you doing the keto diet.
Yeah.
It's nothing wrong with doing keto. Do keto if you want to do keto. But you can't say you follow Sebi and you're doing keto, because keto is all fatty acids, all amino acids. So if you following Sebi, how are you consuming a diet of nothing but acids?
But acids, when he tell you don't do that.
Now listen, I'm not saying that it's not healthy or good or whatever the case may be. I'm just saying, if you saying you doing this, you can't do that.
You can't, exactly.
That's all that is. If you doing the Kemetic thing, you can't bring in chakras, because chakras is not Kemetic. That belongs to Indian folks. Let the Indian folks that's teaching Kundalini and all, let them do that thing with what they doing. Don't mix them things up, because that ain't the same work right there. That's beyond step.
Hey man, people do that with the Nagas and Hopi, and people will take the Nagas and they're like, yeah, y'all know that's Hopi, and the other serpent that's on the head of the pharaohs. And I'll be like, bro, y'all gotta stop with that, man.
Yeah, mix all that up, man. Because the thing, and this is another thing, and I gotta go, but there's another thing I was asking Jabari, because he gets away with playing these word games. Because again, most people is illiterate. They're not really used to digging into and holding people to definitions. So it's like, oh, the Neteru is forces. They don't actually exist. I'm like, wait a minute. First of all, forces actually exist. Electromagnetism is a force. So you cannot say that the Neteru are forces and then say, no, they don't exist.
Right.
That's then secondly, identify the forces for us. Like which forces is which? Just lay it out for us. Which forces is which? Because we want to know that, Mr. Comedic Scholar. Lay out the forces for us. How does the forces thing work? Now you get into the science bag.
Right.
So I want to bring you over there into the forces conversation because I live over there. So I want you to come down Forces Alley and talk that forces talk with me. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah. All right. Look. Come on. Look at the people because they might think I'm lying. Come, look. Look at this boy. He want to get his hair.
Hey, peace to you.
We about to turn them over to you, brother. We about to turn them over to you.
Work-life balance is important. So we are going to let you go. I'll put my number in the private chat if you can grab that.
Yes, sir.
Shoot me a message so we can get you scheduled to come back and promote your book.
All right, yeah. But listen, stay tapped in with knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
Stay tapped in because knowledge is going. You know, that's my guy. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, I'ma ask A1 if he can shoot you my number too, Dr. Enqi. Text me too, brother.
Yes, sir. I got
all right, brother Enqi, good to see you again, man.
Peace to the family. And listen, shout out to my people on my channel because we done live streamed this onto my channel. I know my people was probably looking at this from the beginning like, what is Enqi doing? Even the title of what I put on my channel. And what is Argument Alley and what did I get myself into?
It turned into a big teacher lesson. So I'm glad you came through. You know,
good vibe. Yes, sir. Peace to the family. Shout out to Suave Boss. Yo, y'all gonna have to give my man Anu Kakaraka a rematch or something though, man. Come on, man. Y'all going crazy over here.
We gonna make that happen. Make sure you grab that number out the private chat. He already dropped down. And that's another episode of Argument Alley. You know how we doing it. I think you about to go live in a little bit, Humble.
I can. I most definitely can. I gotta find out how to do it again. For some reason, whenever I get doing the backstage in the stream yard, I can't find a thing.
I'll move some things around. We'll get it taken care of here in a second. I got you.
All right, just hey, you
King
already
Hurt.
know. Hit me on the back end. You can show me a little what up, and I get to it.
I'm about to call you in a couple minutes. King Herc, have a good night. We're going to end with the song by Connie Son, Same Heart. I usually listen to him on Spotify, but you can check him out on all platforms. Head on over to his Facebook and tell him A1 sent you. Again, this is Connie Son, Same Heart. And remember my motto, treat your smile like your money. Never let them steal it. Peace.
Down for whatever, how the hell did we just fall apart? You was my brother, know that I love you. I would've gave you my own heart, and I would've never honing it level. Think about letting that thing spark, knowing that we got the same heart. It's crazy we ain't got the same heart, and they the one taking the aim for it, and I'm the one taking the blame for it. They ain't got no shame in the game for it, till I come back around with that pain for it. You gon' pay for the time you was hating, you gon' pay for the time you was dirty macking, you gon' pay for the time that you hit on women, you pay for the time that you flipped on family. Karma gon' come your way, young nigga. It can be any day, young nigga. The way that you played your hand, I forgive you, but back in that sandbox, can't forget you. Killing my mentor, tell your little brother the issue. How did we go to them pistols? Know I'm official, know that I try to uplift you. Kinda knowing that I miss her. We was together, down for whatever. How the hell did we just fall apart? You was my brother, know that I love you. I would've gave you my own heart, and I would've never honed in the level. Think about letting that thing spark, knowing that we got the same heart. It's crazy we ain't got the same heart, and I'm the one taking the blame for it, and they the one taking the aim for it. They ain't got no shame in the game for it, till I come back around with that pain for it. You gon' pay for the time you was hating, you gon' pay for the time you was dirty macking, you gon' pay for the time that you hit on women, you pay for the time that you flipped on family. One more hit, it really ain't gon' matter. More pale lips, just me, more chatter. Can't hold hands going up no ladder. I fall from up here, then my shit gon' shatter. I'm putting on for my whole family. but we on a different road, family. You told folk that I told family, but I never did fold when the folks had me 100. I never been fake in front. I told younger nigga make him something. You told younger nigga take him something. And he the one that took that from his cousin. And that there got the whole family fussing. Got big sis beefing with her brother. Even through it all, still know that I love you. But every second I think I trust you. I'm smart in the game. You made it hard in the game. I'm loving, I started the lane. I'm hard as they came. Melody target they brain and they draw like a martyr with flame. How far I done came. You was not part of the blame. You was just part of the strain. You was so grimy that niggas ain't wanna come fuck with me, but you're just part of it. And I'm the one taking the blame for it. They the one taking the aim for it. They ain't got no shame in the game for it. Till I come back around with that pain for it. You gon' pay for the time you was hate. You gon' pay for the time you was dirty Mac. And you gon' pay for the time that you hit on women. You pay for the time that you flipped on family. We was together, down for whatever. How the hell did we just fall apart? You was my brother, know that I love you. I would've gave you my own heart. And I would've never holding it level. Think about letting that thing spark. Knowing that we got the same heart. It's crazy we ain't got the same heart.
This Saturday, the Coliseum opens. 2 intellectual warriors, 1 explosive question, no place to hide. Honey Clark and Ben Eaton, they're stepping into the arena to battle over a question that hits the heart of America. Do government welfare programs help the black community long term? Is it a lifeline or a leash? Does it build generational wealth or breed generational dependence? Honey Clark is coming armed with data, history, and fire in her voice, ready to argue that these programs are essential tools for equity and survival. Ben Eaton steps in with statistics, economic theory, and a counterpunch philosophy, arguing that long-term empowering demands a different strategy. This isn't surface level politics. This is policy. This is history. This is legacy. Coliseum of Arguments. Titans Debate League. Titans Debate League, presented by Coliseum of Arguments, where ideas don't just clash, they collide. In one corner, sharp as a blade and twice as deadly on the mic, the verbal assassin, Leandre Slim Reaper McBride, a master of logic, a hunter of weak arguments, and he's coming to carve this case wide open. And in the opposing corner, crowned in confidence, swinging with conviction, the fearless fire starter himself, King Naga. He doesn't back down, he doesn't fold, and he's ready to defend his stance at all costs. The question shaking the arena, was the killing of Alex Brady justified? Morality versus law, emotion versus evidence, justice or just revenge? No scripts, no safety nets, just unfiltered debate warfare. This isn't a conversation, it's a showdown. Coliseum of Arguments, where only the strongest arguments survive. Are you not entertained?